Chapter 461, Scary. Chapter 461, Scary. Roar. Luo clan's side surged with newfound courage in their assault on caged Dragon City. Its allies were fueled by rage, to settle a debt of blood. You scum ruined my legacy. Now I'm here to kill you all. Eh ha ha ha. A bummer they didn't get to taste blood though. From the broken walls of the city, people came out with lowered heads, Len Wuchang in the lead. He was holding a frail branch and something white flapping at the tip. Steward Zhua, Qiu Yanhai began. Zhua Fan squinted at their deflated and crestfallen looks, having lost all the will to fight. The House Lords however still had some defiance. Zhua Fan waved, surround them. Understood. Qiu Yanhai had dozens of radiant stage experts form a tight circle, driving fear into the men. Len Wuchang gave a small nod in assurance and shouted, Steward Zhua, it's your victory and my loss. What's with that tone? It's like you expect there to be a next time. Zhua Fan showed a prideful evil smile. Len Wuchang sighed, never again, I have completely lost to you and would never dare to face you again. I only wish to know if that road pass you gave me is still valid. My word is my bond. Zhua Fan smiled. Len Wuchang sighed, the weight off his chest, and bowed, I wish then to have Regent Estate survivors under your care. All were in complete shock. Grandmother more so. Luo clan had a power beyond the mere head of the 8 houses, being in an invincible position. And if Regent Estate's experts hopped in, it would become a behemoth. Despite Luo clan's allies, they felt the danger growing in direct proportion with its power. Like the case of 2 mountains side by side, your might may be a cut below the neighbors, but the guy would sure have his eye on it. And as this ambition only gets bigger and bigger, you'd find at some point that no one would even throw you a glance, nothing more than a pebble to step on. Luo clan grew at unimaginable speeds, like the whole world moved to help it. It was safe to say the time would soon come when it would find its 3 allies mere rejects. There would be no allies then. They wouldn't be worth even as a snack for this monstrosity. The House Lords saw the real danger, that they would be worth less than these prisoners here. And all began cooking up plans to keep their spot. Zhua Fan snickered inside, while a dangerous glint from his eyes landed on the captives. Sir Leng, are you sure they want to surrender? Len Wuchang nodded, absolutely. Then listen up. Seal your cultivation, all of you. Zhua Fan grinned. The reaction was unanimous shock. It was the same as ending up as a fish in a barrel. What cultivator out there would ever do such a thing? In their confusion, Len Wuchang frowned, Steward Zhua. You're prisoners of war and of great power. If you don't seal yourself, how can I take you in? You might run on our way back. Zhua Fan mocked. Len Wuchang was the first to do it. The others had no choice but to follow. The House Lords were even more unwilling. But the savage mass of eyes on them forced them to. Now that all of them had not a drop of Yuan Qi in them, Zhua Fan shouted, kill. Everyone froze, not just the captives, but even the surrounding radiant stage experts. Didn't they give up? They even obeyed you, so why kill them? Are my ears acting up again? Qiu Yanhai did not hesitate to slam a sealed radiant stage expert into the ground, dead. He barked, what are you standing around for? You heard Steward Zhua, kill them. They all shuddered, so I did hear right. It's for real. Everyone joined the culling of defenseless radiant stage experts with extreme prejudice. None knew why, just that Zhua Fan's orders were law, a do-or-die thing. Wails of agony, curses and roars colored the skies as the blood of the powerless Regent Estate dyed their city red. Zhua Fan, you lowlife scum, double-crosser. I will haunt you forever. You Wanshan roared. Zhua Fan's tone was flat, you couldn't stand me alive and now you won't as a dead man either. Humph, I read too much for you to scare me. Len Wuchang, you sold your honor to destroy us with Zhua Fan. Regent Estate has been good to you for decades, yet you show not 1 ounce of remorse, throwing us all to the dogs. One venerable cursed. Leng Wuchang begged, Steward Zhua, wi, they're now yours, a big help and not a thorn. Oh really? Zhua Fan grinned, Sir Leng, you're an intelligent man here and can see why they surrendered. They did it for themselves, not for me. Ha ha ha, I don't take in just any stranger either. My so-called captives are lured in with promises. There's a give and take agreement between us. While these guys, ha ha ha. Zhua Fan mocked. Leng Wuchang's ears rang with the constant wails of the dying, but these are human beings. You can't be so ruthless. They may still hold true to their old master, but with time and training. I don't have time. Zhua Fan cut him off, you're clearer than most about the current situation. The winner will have to face off the imperial family. Do you believe we can get along so well in these circumstances, that I can use these captives, Leng Wuchang? Wouldn't you fear a revolt? Humph, never taken prisoners before a battle. That is the law. Leng Wuchang, are you unreasonable or still hold loyalties to your old master to make such a rash decision? If you'd have breached the encirclement, there'd still be some experts surviving, but now, ha ha ha, Zhua Fan patted Leng Wuchang's shoulder with a savage look. Leng Wuchang closed his eyes and sighed. He knew Zhua Fan was ruthless, but he still. The curses and wails never ceased, bringing pain and sorrow to his heart. Too greedy, Sir Leng, that's what you are. You wanted to save them all but have doomed them instead. A mastermind needs a collected mind, not let himself be swayed by emotions. You've been a mastermind your entire life, so why make such an elementary mistake now? Take it as a lesson for your tenure in Luo clan, to never stoop to such gross dereliction of duty. Steward Zhua. Zhua Fan soaked in the mesmerizing echoes of agony as he dished out cynicism by the gallon. Leng Wuchang had a limit though, didn't you give me a pass? Why do you want my men? A pass is, by definition, singular, and for a mastermind. Now who would you have in mind? Zhua Fan took out a bloodworm from his gourd, the one who eats this lives and the rest die. Choose. Leng Wuchang shuddered, holding the bloodworm with a trembling hand. He looked back at the genocide with fear and sadness. Save me. With their cultivation sealed, none could escape, only scramble around in the chaos. Eyes turned to Leng Wuchang here and then, everyone filled with dread and pleading. Sir Leng, ah. Who do you want to save? Zhua Fan grinned. Leng Wuchang just stood there, torn as the men grew fewer and fewer. When the final one hit the bloody mud, his mind was still blank, the bloodworm wiggling in his hand. He brought his hand up and swallowed. Zhua Fan cackled, didn't you choose yourself in the end? Was that so hard? Zhua Fan, you're a hellspawn. Leng Wuchang gnashed his teeth, his eyes bloodshot. Zhua Fan laughed, I thought you knew by now. Is it that odd? Besides, everyone around knows my handiwork by now. Everyone gulped on cue, not making a peep. All they had was sympathy for Leng Wuchang, for a fellow prisoner. Such was the fate of the grand unwanted contriver Leng Wuchang, the one who toyed with others' lives. Zhua Fan is scary. Chapter 462, Crisis in the Imperial Capital. Chapter 462, Crisis in the Imperial Capital. Ah! Among the rubble and ruins, cries of suffering and pain echoed. Leng Wuchang's forehead was riddled with pulsing veins, flopping around like a fish out of water. The freshly gained turncoats circled him in fear and shock. So this is the end of all who take bloodworms. They vowed to be extra careful from now on, lest they end up like that. All the new recruits were shivering and soaked in sweat. Zhua Fan went about his business, sending the Luo clan to killing, pillaging and desecrating, the usual. He sure earned big this time. Regent Estate was the boss of houses for a damn good reason. It had many times more corpses than the other 6 combined. His plan of reaching the 100,000 war puppets quota looked mighty promising. It was all worth it going to war with the regent estate. Steward Zhua, and my surrender is sincere. Is this really necessary? Leng Wuchang shouted, getting all eyes on Zhua Fan. Common sense tells us Leng Wuchang ought to be welcomed with respect. So why? Sipping on his tea, laid back in his comfy chair, his reply was a beaming smile. Oh, Sir Leng, you only have yourself to blame. I did give you a Luo clan pass, but what did you do? Threaten me with hostages. Ha ha ha, I am quite the petty man and your act cut your pass in half. So after shaping you up for, let's say, 3 full days, we will speak terms. Just for that? Leng Wuchang felt like crying. Steward Zhua, you told me taking your people was enough. I was still regent estate's steward and had to consider its interests. That was only natural. How can you? Zhua Fan smiled. True, I did say that. But did I also ask you to plot against me, against your future lord? So you see, punishment is in order for your inflexible ways. And just so I won't forget, keep your excuses to yourself. Cashing in the pass will still come down to my decision, ha ha ha. Leng Wuchang felt as if he had boarded a pirate ship and felt like crying dry tears. I can overlook you killing regent estate's captives. But you would torment even me, a homeless old man? The rest sighed, but the power couple. They were chipper inside. These newbies are a bunch of softies, even Leng Wuchang. We had no grudge with Steward Zhua yet still went through a world of pain back then. Now this guy starts preaching reason to Steward Zhua. His torment ought to be increased by 2 days. Big brother Zhua, Sir Leng is on our side now. Why not just let it go? He still looked after us while we were captive in regent estate. Luo Yunhai came forward to plead Leng Wuchang's case out of pity. Leng Wuchang's eyes lit up, grasping at straws. Zhua Fan cut him off though. No, he had committed a capital offense. Punishment must be dished out. But since clan head has asked, I can reduce it to 2 days. Heart sinking, Leng Wuchang looked at Luo Yunhai with big eyes for more. Luo Yunhai's second pleading only got a dissing wave from Zhua Fan. But he got a wink, to go someplace quiet. Yunhai, did you really believe I was doing this out of some petty vendetta? The two walked as Zhua Fan transmitted. Yunhai was puzzled, why else? Don't I know you, big brother Zhua? You've never been a compassionate guy. Ha ha ha, true, I guess I am petty. Though, it depends on the person. This old coot is on our side now and I won't have the time to mess with him. Then why? Luo Yunhai asked. Zhua Fan smiled watching the ever-tumbling and wailing Leng Wuchang. This guy's mind is arrogant and scheming. Once in the Luo clan, he will hold a high position. But before that happens, I need to smooth those rough edges and hammer in his station. Or I fear you will one day be overthrown. One day. Big brother Zhua, won't I have you? Luo Yunhai felt uneasy. Zhua Fan sighed, I will be honest with you. I am leaving. 3 years ago I made a deal with the demon scheming sect to join them. At that time, you will be truly alone. The elders are strong and stubborn, but after being alongside for so long, I can rest easy with them. But the fresh meat, they need it to be beaten into them. Big brother Zhua, Luo Yunhai choked, unable to accept. Zhua Fan smiled his carefree smile, I cannot break my deal with the demon scheming sect, or Luo clan will end up suffering. But rest assured, before I go, everything will be in place. Being a head of a clan is not much different from being a lord of a nation. It's all about being fake and testing the waters. I had to accept your plea just now or your name would be cut down. When I'm gone, you'll have to find another meanie to replace me. Some things you can't do yourself even if you want to, understand? Luo Yunhai pondered and nodded. Zhua Fan smiled brighter. Steward Zhua. Grandmother and the other 2 house lords came over flustered, bad news. There's an army coming at us from everywhere. We are surrounded. It looks to be Marshal Duga's army. Godfather? Luo Yunhai jerked. Zhuo Fan smiled. "Oh, Marshal couldn't have picked a better timing. He truly lives up to his name as God of War." "Big brother Zhuo, I've been in the Dugu army for 5 years. I know its strengths better than anyone. We may have more experts, but 50,000 can't stem the tide of soldiers. If Godfather is present, there must be 1,000,000 of them out there. We will suffer heavy losses if we clash." Luo Yunhai sighed. The other 3 turned a nervous look at Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan merely waved, "Forget about them and keep desecrating. Take them as scenery." "What?" No one got a whit about what went on in Zhuo Fan's head, who simply smiled confidently. In the commanding tent, Dugu Zhantian and his tigers debriefed the situation around a map. "Zhuo Fan is the strongest. We will flank him from the east and south, while harassing him from the west and prepare an ambush in the north. In a war of attrition, we will have him in 5 months at most. As for the rest, they are nothing, a loose team. They don't pose us any threat. Old Third and Old Fourth will take them down without worry." The 4 tigers of Tianyu nodded at Dugu Zhantian's plan. Dugu Lin sighed. "Marshal, are we really going to capture Old Fifth? They already lost their clan once." Pain laced Dugu Zhantian's eyes for the briefest moment before resolve set in. A soldier's duty is to obey. His Majesty wants Zhuo Fan. Luo clan has harbored him, and since he destroyed the 7 houses and plans to fight for the right to rule these lands, it is unacceptable. Yunhai may be my godson, but duty is above one's family. The 4 tigers of Tianyu's hearts sank, shaking their heads. "Report." A soldier burst in and got on his knee. "Marshal, Luo clan scouts have discovered our fake encirclement." "Ha ha ha, in war, truth hides behind smoke, as do lies blend in with the truth. I've let them see it on purpose so they will panic." "What about Zhuo Fan?" Dugu Zhantian's eyes lit up. The soldier stammered, Marshal, they've shown no reaction. They're still pillaging Caged Dragon City, as if." "What?" Dugu Zhantian barked. "As if we weren't even here." The soldier lowered his red face. Dugu Zhantian laughed harder. "Good, very good Zhuo Fan. You're truly ruthless. You saw my flag yet think I am beneath you, not worthy of your attention. Already consider yourself the lord of these lands, is that it? Pull up camp and advance on Caged Dragon City. I will see for myself what Zhuo Fan will do against my invincible army." Dugu Zhantian shouted orders. The 4 tigers of Tianyu sighed again. Another soldier burst into the tent, presenting a jade slip. "Marshal, Imperial Capital summon. His Majesty's edict." Startled, Dugu Zhantian yanked the jade and read it. "What is it, Marshal?" the 4 tigers of Tianyu asked. Dugu Zhantian's face darkened, then he took a deep breath. "Bad news. Imperial Capital is in trouble. His Majesty needs our help." Chapter 463, Killings in Imperial Palace. Chapter 463, Killings in Imperial Palace. "What?" The 4 looked at each other in shock. "How can this be? Didn't His Majesty send another edict just a while ago to destroy the traitors? Why this sudden cry for help?" Dugu Lin found it unnatural, changing his mind after just a few days, and we are so far away. It only proves that the imperial capital is in such peril not even His Majesty can ignore it. Dugu Zhantian grew angry. "The Jade says old Zhuge is on the move, with 200,000 troops outside the city. We have no time to lose. We're withdrawing." Dugu Zhantian shouted orders. Dugu Lin had more to say, but the marshal's mind was made. And since they were brothers with Luo Yunhai, avoiding a bloodbath was for the best. In under an hour the Dugu army was on the move, gone like the wind. Luo clan scouts came back with the report. "Steward Zhuo, your ineffable machinations got Dugu army to retreat." Grandmother gave him a thumbs up. Long Yaifi and Xie Xiaofeng were elated too. Zhuo Fan could even bore down on the mind of the undefeated army god. He was awesome. Luo Yunhai frowned. Wait, this is not per Godfather's character. He acts with speed and force. Once the army is on the move, it won't withdraw for any reason. Just what could have happened? Long Yifei took it in stride. Maybe the marshal had a change of heart, going to His Majesty to plead your case. No, orders to a soldier are a sacred duty to perform. Godfather cares for Luo clan, but he would first capture us and present us to the palace before asking for leniency. He will never fall back like this. Luo Yunhai shook his head. Gu Santong mocked. Humph, who cares? It's all the same to me. Be it 1,000,000 or 3,000,000, it's just numbers this fist of mine will have to smash. Ugh. The others had to force a nod. Everyone knew about Invincible Scamp's ridiculously strong arm, that not even Dugu army could topple. Luo Yunhai shook his head. Senior Gu Santong, I know you're amazing, but Dugu army is no weakling. To deal with your brute force, Dugu army has many formations with that in mind. They will leave a division to keep you busy while finishing us off. Gu Santong snorted and rolled his eyes. Zhuo Fan finally spoke. This no longer concerns us. We'd best move Regent Estate's goods back to Wingate City post-haste. While we don't have Dugu Zhantian's army to worry about. Luo Yunhai asked, Big Brother Zhuo, why do you say that? Dugu Zhantian is a master of war, yet also a lion caged by Tianyu. Zhuo Fan stood up and walked away. Eliminate the tool once it's done its job. This has been in practice since time immemorial. The emperor is on the move. Everyone frowned. Hadn't he been doing that until now? In the imperial palace, the emperor sat at his desk holding a jade slip. Zhuo Fan and Gu Santong became kin and the latter even sided with him completely. Since when has this been going on? Oh, Zhuo Fan, you sure are playing close to the vest. Not even I saw it coming. Report. A guard rushed to his knees. Your Majesty, please evacuate. The rebel army is pushing hard and the city guards are on the brink of collapse. Your Majesty's safety is paramount. Please think of the world's safety and leave the imperial capital. Absurd. I am the ruler of this nation. How can I just leave the imperial capital? The emperor glared. Have you found out where Zhuge Changfeng is right now? Not yet, Your Majesty. The guard lowered his head in shame. The emperor said, Prime Minister Zhuge sure is thorough. With all my divine dragons away from my side, he still fears I'll send someone after him and keeps hidden ever since the start of the rebellion. Ha ha ha, what can a coward possibly achieve? Ha ha ha, that crusty old man will only show himself when the rebellion is over. Imperial Father. Crown Prince and Fatty rushed into the study. Imperial Father, the city guards are down and even the 6th grade array has failed. Some bastard destroyed the core. The army outside is flooding the capital. Please Father, evacuate. Crown Prince beseeched. The fatty nodded, looking outside in panic. Shouts came from outside. The Imperial Guards were clashing with the rebels. The Imperial Guards suffered a crushing defeat at the Second Prince's rebellion just a while back and now were beset by another force before they could recoup. The fatty looked more distressed by the second. Humph, that crusty old man had quite a few hidden pawns placed inside the city, waiting for the right moment to strike. The emperor strutted outside. I am the rightful emperor, blessed by heaven itself. Let's see how Tianyu's best mind, my loyal prime minister, kicks me off my chair. Imperial Father, Crown Prince and Fatty shouted. But knew no words would get to the staunch emperor. All they could do was follow him in silence. The fighting closed in as they exited. With wails and shouts of pain, men in black flooded the area. There was no sight of any Imperial Guard around, most likely drowning in their own blood somewhere. The rebels had the Imperial Palace surrounded in seconds, with discipline and efficiency seen only in veteran armies. Crown Prince and Fatty stood guard on the Emperor's sides as they glared at the enemy. The Emperor nodded in praise. Ha ha ha, just how many decades did the old-timer take to raise such an effective army? It's not far behind even the Dugu army. Prime Minister Zhuge has shown great consideration for today. Ha ha ha, Your Majesty shows no fear even in the face of 1,000,000 soldiers. Truly a man of valor, a man walked out from the ranks of the rebels. Zhuge Changfeng was followed by his yin-yang elders and the entire court, smiling like the victor. Crusty Zhuge, you wretched thing, dare rebel? Crown Prince snapped. The emperor merely waved, child, easy. Zhuge has been prime minister for decades, rendering great service to Tianyu. He did it for the people and for the future. He is a valuable official of Tianyu. A lord should not slander one such as he so easily either. Crown Prince choked on anger, forcing himself into a bow. Zhuge Changfeng snorted, Your Majesty, we've been working together for close to a century now. Yet you're still so fake. Now that I have the power, this is your final moment. Can't you be honest for once? Ha ha ha, why ask such a question, Prime Minister Zhuge? I've always been pleased with your conduct over the years in dealing with matters of the court. I can say with complete confidence that if not for Prime Minister Zhuge, there'd not be the glorious Tianyu Empire of today. The emperor laughed. If not for the swords in the background, everyone would think this was just a heart-to-heart talk between a lord and his minister. Zhuge Changfeng mocked, Oh, great and wise ruler, I have committed the heinous sin of rebelling, a righteous lord's shame. Shouldn't I be put to death? How could the treacherous me ever betray the compassionate and brilliant master? Ugh! The officials around had no idea where the prime minister was going with this. One official flattered, he, the emperor is still blind to see his head is about to roll. No wonder everyone is set to fight him and get Tianyu in chaos. He is not fit to be called emperor, only the wise Prime Minister Zhuge can be the true eminent ruler here. Don't you all agree? Hark! Everyone echoed. Crown Prince and Fatty were outraged compared to the emperor's tranquility. Zhuge Changfeng turned to the speaker and said with disdain, Ministry of Appointments Sir Chao, I have said this before, your flattery is too obvious. You're better off not saying anything. And you're wrong about something, His Majesty is no fool, but a shrewd man. I should know, I've been fighting him my entire life. If he were to be a fool, won't that make me a moron? The whole court was stumped. What's with the Prime Minister? Why does this look like two old friends catching up? Fellas, could you perhaps be kind enough to mind us, part of the rebel army? This isn't a tea party, you know. At least snap at each other and tirade already. It's hard for us to get into our roles with you all being so cool with each other. Even rebels have their honor. Please don't ignore us. Zhuge Changfeng and the emperor never cared about some extra's feelings since all they could ever possibly do was stick to the side. They couldn't even employ the height of their careers right, i.e. rear smooching. Chapter 464, Reversal. Chapter 464, Reversal. Prime Minister Sir, is His Majesty wise? Chao was mortified, put on the spot by Zhuge Changfeng. Words came hard to him. Is that how a rebellion works nowadays, praising the emperor instead of cursing him? Zhuge Changfeng was particularly happy about his response though, yes, His Majesty is wise, or more precisely, shrewd. The sole reason I had a hard time even eating all these years is all due to His Majesty. When will my endless list of crimes fall on my head, when will he corner me? Come tomorrow, I can finally find peace. Oh, then I would have to apologize, Prime Minister. I must have caused you quite the headache, ha ha ha, the emperor laughed. Zhuge Changfeng smiled in mockery, Your Majesty, are you stalling for help? Ha ha ha, well, let's not. You had yet to show all your hands in the Second Prince's rebellion, but did you actually think I wouldn't notice the 50,000 Imperial Guards you've trained in secret? It just so happens that I had our Chuanrong Empire friends look after them. That army should be gone by now. Chuanrong? Ha ha ha, I should have known you were colluding with them for letting them come to my birthday. Once you were gone, the rebellion started and they've also gone missing from the garrison. Although, are you sure their 5,000 can deal with my 50,000 strong? The emperor quirked an eyebrow. Zhuge Changfeng grinned, 5,000? That's just the delegation. I am the prime minister, tasked with interaction among the empires. It was a year ago when I had Tuoba Tieshan's elite men slip in as merchants. To say nothing of the Minister of Rights being on my side. You and that rough Dugu Zhantian were none the wiser. There are in fact 100,000 Chuanrong in the empire. That was a good subterfuge. The emperor nodded. I seem to find my poor life at an untimely end. Only your majesty is to blame for it, looking to quell the civil war of the houses. So much so that you left the court empty and opened the door for me. Though I do feel for your majesty's rush, with your body close to the hereafter. That being said, your majesty can't have a stalemate left for your heir. Paving a way for him is paramount if your majesty doesn't want him to be overthrown. Prime Minister Zhuge knows me so well, cough, the emperor nodded. Zhuge Changfeng sighed, but the empty city tactic is a dangerous gamble. I almost believed it. Out of everyone in the world, only your majesty can have me play your tune. Zhuge Changfeng had some sympathy showing, gone soon after as he faced Crown Prince, his majesty will abdicate and the world will be in turmoil. It needs leadership to set it right. Are you willing to step up? What? All ministers looked dumbfounded. They all thought it'd be Prime Minister Zhuge going up there. But the old man gave it all up. What's the point of all this then? Crown Prince's eye twitched, his heart booming in his chest. Real or not, Zhuge Changfeng is after shaming the Yuan clan. Only the emperor nodded with a smile. Prime Minister Zhuge is thorough. Even if you win the throne, the people will hardly accept you, while also having Dugu Zhantian to face. It's better to place a pawn you can control. You'll have all the time in the world to take it later. Crown Prince paused, better to be a puppet than no emperor at all. Zhuge Changfeng patronized, Your Majesty, you wound me. Granted it makes perfect sense, but I never wanted the throne from the start. All this rebellion is a chance to talk with your majesty. As for Dugu Zhantian, I simply need to take your majesty's jade seal and send word to Tuoba Taishan at the border to invade. With Dugu Zhantian stalled, how long will you last I wonder? The emperor nodded, excellent move, flawless even. But Prime Minister, you have to consider that the perfect plan is easiest to err. The emperor shouted, begin. Capture the rebels. Princess Yongning was showing her valor storming here, with figures popping behind her and releasing eerie cries. 10 radiant stage experts and 100 shadow guards were rushing Zhuge Changfeng. Capturing Zhuge Changfeng would cut the rebellion short. Zhuge Changfeng only had a cold smile for their attempt. Your Majesty, you've already used this move in dealing with the second prince. He signaled his yin-yang elders. Black and white ripples passed, fusing and unleashing deadly power at the attackers. Boom! The shadow guards and the radiant stage experts were flung back and spat blood. They slammed the ground with ashen faces, weak and despondent. 10 radiant stage experts and 100 shadow guards fell in a single move. Yongning shuddered from fear. They're radiant stage experts. Not divine dragons, but they can still hold their own, yet a look got them routed. Who are these two? Yongning knew they were bad news, just not the full extent. One radiant stage guard got his feet under him and watched the elders appalled. Ethereal stage expert. To a radiant stage expert, soul attacks were hardly effective, not when this was their strong point. This made such attacks obsolete in radiant stage experts' fights. No matter how much tougher divine dragons were than these experts, their souls were not so much. But these two. The eyes of radiant stage experts filled with death, while the rest were overwhelmed. Tianyu has never seen an ethereal stage expert yet. Two just appeared next to Prime Minister Zhuge. That's why he's so confident. The ministers were praising again. How Prime Minister Zhuge was awesome, of immense talent to invite such men. Zhuge Changfeng shook his head. Ha ha ha, you're wrong. With ethereal stage experts around, I'd have acted ages ago. They're on the cusp at best. But their combined attack does make for an ethereal stage expert's attack. The radiant stage experts sighed still. We can still beat them. Zhuge Changfeng took in their looks and said, Your Majesty, if that's the extent of your abilities, I would have to advise you to give up. As minister and ruler, I do not wish to force this. Ha ha ha, Prime Minister, don't be so quick to laugh. My order wasn't for them, but for, the Emperor's eyes glinted and his face grew smug, pointing at Zhuge Changfeng. Zhuge Changfeng jerked, just as he felt pain in his shoulders from the iron grips. Zhuge Changfeng looked back, to see his very own yin-yang elders holding him back. Zhuge Changfeng's eyes went wide. Those ministers were panicking as well, scrambling backward. What just happened? Aren't they on the Prime Minister's side? Why? Zhuge Changfeng turned from the Emperor to his elders. The elders sighed, Forgive us, Prime Minister. We thank you for your care during all these years, but we are His Majesty's divine dragons. We're only following orders. What? Zhuge Changfeng was dumbstruck. Everyone, be it the Crown Prince or Yongning, sported the same dumb look. There's actually 5 divine dragons. 2 of which no one had ever seen. Everyone stood there agape, forgetting that they were enemies and rebels. Zhuge Changfeng finally resigned to reality, then you are not yin-yang elders. I have looked into the roster of imperial family's experts and there's no one by that name in there. Correct. They go by the name of Heaven and Earth Sages. The Emperor stroked his beard. Chapter 465, Great Men's Favors Are Uncertain. Chapter 465, Great Men's Favors Are Uncertain. Heaven and Earth Sages. The 2 of the 3 strongest divine dragons 300 years ago. You're not dead? Zhuge Changfeng gasped, I see it now, ha ha ha. The 2's eyes met and sorrow traced their faces. With your Majesty's boundless wisdom, you should have taken care of me by now. I can tell you have my 200,000 men surrounded. And there's the 100,000 Chuanrong cavalry on their way, but they must have fallen in your trap. But for that, you need an army, and from what I know, only Dugu Zhantian can do it. But he is out dealing with Regent Estate and Zhuofan. Zhuge Changfeng moved his gaze from the sages to the Emperor, Your Majesty, do you have some other great force that I don't know about? The Emperor shook his head, Prime Minister Zhuge, we've seen each other for years and with your ambition, there's nothing you couldn't find out. It's not so easy for me to hide such a move from your piercing eyes. I am in total agreement as well. Zhuge Changfeng smiled, and I am all the more astonished by how you got such a huge force. What did I miss? Crown Prince and Fatty looked at the Emperor with rapt attention. His move was just too obscure for even the likes of Zhuge Changfeng to see it coming. To top it off, ever since the Second Prince's rebellion, the Emperor was having a hard time coping with Zhuge Changfeng. Yet not once did he pull out this ace. The ingenious and cunning put into it made him a rare mind on this earth, so much so that it sent a chill down his son's back. The Emperor loved watching Zhuge Changfeng squirm, ha ha ha, you want to know that much? But I do believe ignorance is bliss in this case, sparing you the vexation. What could trouble a dying man? I only wish to part with a clear conscience. Zhuge Changfeng spoke. The Emperor paused, you are indeed my great minister helping me all these decades, a pillar of the nation. I admire your calm. The Emperor clapped, men, grab them. Ha ha ha, as your Majesty commands. A familiar shout came from the clouds. Zhuge Changfeng shuddered and his face fell. The Chuanrong warriors rode in on their roaring spiritual beasts, surrounding the rebels. The ministers felt faint in front of their might. Wasn't Chuanrong on our side? What's it doing pointing their pets at us? The Taoba siblings and imperial tutor came out of the circle, everything went without a hitch, per Sir's decree. Young Master Taoba, one goatee old man cried at them. Zhuge Changfeng gasped, having a self-deprecating smile. Minister of Rights, it's no use. They sold us out a long time ago. We are surrounded by their 100,000 and His Majesty's 50,000 guards. It's 300,000 to be exact. The Emperor interjected, Prime Minister Zhuge, you got 100,000 Chuanrong cavalry sneaked in, can't I do the same? Zhuge Changfeng sighed, Young Master Taoba, would you help me understand something? What did His Majesty give you? Prime Minister sir, to be honest, His Majesty promised us the land north of Suli River. Tuoba Lufeng explained. Zhuge Changfeng pondered with a frown, it is a rich area in ore, a rare site and 1/10 of Tianyu. While I promised you half. Is my word worth nothing? Ha ha ha, Prime Minister Zhuge, sometimes cooperation isn't based on interests, rather ability. Tuoba Lufeng added, His Majesty knew all about our discussions. You were just dancing to his tune, so how could you succeed? And even if you did, that would still leave dealing with unifying the land before you could give us our rightful claim. Would the Empire's 3 guardian sects even listen to you? It means wasted men and effort over nothing. While with His Majesty, who knows all, sees all, the sects had no way to deny his word. Zhuge Changfeng nodded, you've thought long and hard I see. My slight, unfortunately. Humph, a true pity. Although Dugu Zhantian, despite being crude, is loyal to a fault. He'd never agree to it, unless over his dead body. Tuoba Lufeng snickered, glancing at the Emperor. His eyes released bloodlust, everything has its opposite. It would seem Marshal Dugu has gone too long in years and needs proper, final rest. Zhuge Changfeng shuddered, pained with grief, Your Majesty, he is stubborn but he's been loyal to you all these years. How can you? There's no one more loyal than Marshal Dugu, my right and left arms put together. My heart is in pain for going with this strategy, but he wields 70% of the Empire's authority, his army unequaled. A man with virtue sins the moment he stands out, ha ha ha. Chuckling, Zhuge Changfeng lamented, all our efforts to make Tianyu prosper all these decades are repaid with a sordid end. I accept my fate, but for that old man. Like they say, great men's favors are uncertain. Zhuge Changfeng struck a lonely figure gazing at the sky. The Emperor waved, take him to the 9 frigid prison. Make sure he's under constant watch. Understood. 2 guards led Zhuge Changfeng away and the Emperor turned his sharp eye to his mutinous seditionists. They shivered to the bone and faltered back. Someone mustered up meager courage to say, Why Your Majesty, it's all Zhuge Changfeng's fault. He twisted words, forcing us on this path. I beg Your Majesty to recall all of our contributions in the court and spare our miserable lives. We implore you, Your Majesty. We will be eternally grateful. Another shivered out a plea. The Emperor mocked, in all of Tianyu, only the Prime Minister and Marshal have truly strived for this nation. While you, pack of filthy mongrels, only look after your own ass. And now ask for mercy. Execute them. Understood. Bowing, the guards stepped forth to drag those great, now weeping and wailing, figures of court. As for the rebel army, they were panicking with their leaders gone. Just like a headless chicken. The Emperor spoke, you all are their tools, imposing a lesser blame. I, a believer in the good of man, shall give you a chance. Swear your fealty and I shall make you imperial guards, serving me for all your lives. Everyone fell to their knees at the Emperor's boundless mercy. The Grand Rebellion had collapsed on the spot. The Emperor nodded and Tuoba Lufeng smiled, Congratulations Your Majesty, in quelling the rebellion. It is by the grace of my Chuanrong friends that I've succeeded. The Emperor smiled back. Tuoba Lufeng nodded and pushed his sister forward, Lianer, now do you understand why I was so certain at the Beast King Mountain? In all of Tianyu, the one to offer us support is none other than the Lord of the nation, the Emperor. Taoba Lianer was still out of it, wrapping her head around this whole thing proved to be a tough one. How am I supposed to know the great leader would use us to clean his backyard? Tuoba Lufeng laughed. Imperial tutor Han Tianma nodded. This matter had a large impact, making only our emperor, brother Taizhan, myself and Lufeng privy to it. You can't fault her for being so lost. The others laughed as well. The emperor turned stern. Young Master Taoba, how is it going on the other end? Your Majesty, learning that he would be facing his old rival Marshal Dugu, father was eager to begin. Tuoba Lufeng spoke with confidence. Commander Tuoba Lufeng of the Chuanrong had faced Dugu Zhantian in 20 battles and 100 skirmishes, yet all ended in draw. Perhaps this time will be different. Chapter 466, Something Stinks. Chapter 466, Something Stinks. The rebellion left as quick as it came. That being said, it failed not from a lack of foresight in the Prime Minister's planning but the Emperor's outstanding acumen paving the way for the entrapment. With the festivities over and done with, the Emperor pulled out the welcome wagon for the Chuanrong as guests of honor. Tuoba Lufeng and company gladly obliged in a show of respect. Glancing at his remaining children, the Emperor sighed. The foreign look in their eyes cut the heart of this old father. Crown Prince, Songer, Yongning. The Emperor began, are you perhaps of the opinion that inviting Chuanrong to deal with Zhuge Changfeng is a stain on Tianyu Empire's honor? It's vile and treasonous. Yongning snapped. What does a sheltered girl know? The Emperor was livid. Yongning flicked her head as she stomped away. The Emperor shook his head, turning to his sons, you two are the future leaders of Tianyu. What is your take? Imperial Father, the plan is sublime, to the point that it eludes me. The Crown Prince bowed. The Emperor flicked his eyes on the fatty, who jolted, Imperial Father, with the 7 houses poisoning the nation since inception, the sooner they're gone the better. Zhuge Changfeng and Dugu Zhantian had power yet couldn't attain peace. If, for argument's sake, it leaks out that you used our lands to do it, then the Yuan dynasty will have Tianyu's people against it. Tianyu's emperor might even change. And for that reason, this information will not leave this place. Anyone found guilty will be hanged. The emperor's eyes flashed and he sighed, while I know the consequences of such a move, do you? The two shook their heads, we ask Imperial Father to enlighten us. The Lord adheres to the 3 bonds and 5 virtues, preaches benevolence, like any other person. But there is one aspect in which a man and a lord differ. A man but strives for peace on earth while a lord can't be shackled by it. Smiley face https://en. Wikipedia. org/wiki/3_fundamental_bonds_n_5_virtues. The Emperor stroked his beard, do you know who Tianyu belongs to? The two bowed, yes, Imperial Father. No, it's the Emperor's. The Emperor shook his head, today it is mine, but after I'm 100, it will pass on to the next one. In other words, Yuan clans. But they're all wrong. We have little control over anything. The 7 noble houses make a show of submitting to us, but they rule half the lands. Zhuge Changfeng and Dugu Zhantian control the rest. In that regard, Yuan clan has the weakest power. And is further exacerbated by being an emperor who only keeps the power balance till the end of my days. How is this Yuan clan's rule? The sons were gripped with fear, their faces solemn. The emperor followed, Yuan clans every generation of emperors strove to return Tianyu to its rulers. And in my time, the chance has finally come, a chance I could never forsake, at the offset of using Chuanrong to achieve it for 1/10 of our nation. And it has washed away the 7 houses and those 2 ministers' power, begetting my one true rule. In this regard, I am the winner. Crown Prince, Songer, what's yours can only be yours in your own 2 hands. Anything short is pointless. This empire may go by Tianyu, you may be its emperor, but they're all empty words. We are grateful for your teachings. The sons bowed. The emperor nodded. 2 weeks later, in a serene valley, the birds and everything called out the song of nature. The silence was soon interrupted by a rumbling so great that it made all the birds frantic. Once it settled, a black column of men marched through the valley like a big snake. With each step, the earth trembled, with each step, the land moved. A power instilled by a march of 1,000,000 people. In the lead was an old man, strong and valiant, holding a cold blade at his side. "Marshal, there are cliffs on both sides and are covered in trees, the worst position for us. There may be ambushes up ahead. We should send scouts," Dugu Lin advised. Dugu Zhantian pondered, no one would dare ambush us in Tianyu. Not even Zhuge Changfeng with his endless wisdom and his few troops. The imperial capital is in turmoil and we don't know how long His Majesty can hold on. We have to charge, ambush or not. Increase speed by 1/3. We must reach the imperial capital within the month. Understood. Dugu Lin relayed the orders and the army was soon at the center of the valley. Huge booms rattled the sky and odd flickers of light revealed lightning connecting heaven and earth in its unbridled show of force. Searing flames fell onto the valley like dragons and pinned the army down, taking with them thousands of soldiers howling from the heat. Dugu Zhantian cried, "It's a trap. We're being ambushed." "Marshal, orders." Whoosh. The 4 tigers of Tianyu were before the marshal in a bow. The soldiers remained calm even at the death of thousands of their comrades in arms. This is the valor of Dugu army, unflinching in death, unbreakable in battle. A cold pair of eyes stared at them from among the trees. "Dugu Zhantian, I may win this battle, but it brings me no honor. Nevertheless, I still wish to be the one to cut you down. Prepare for battle. This trick won't scare that old-timer." Understood. The forest exploded with agreement. Looking at the flickering lightning, the scorching fire, Dugu Zhantian roared, "Ha ha ha, that old Zhuge has even made a move against me now, on my return. What I lack in subterfuge, I make up for on the field of battle." 4 tigers of Tianyu, snake formation. Punch through. Dugu Zhantian snorted. Understood. The tigers took a division each. A soldier was weak alone, but working together, the Yuan Qi blended into forming a cohesive unit, shielding the squad. No lightning or flame touched them. The tigers roared and the army split up into snakelings in all directions, easily bypassing the heat and thunder bolts. At safety, they regrouped, with not so much as one loss. Dugu Zhantian wielded his blade, looking around, "Don't think you can take me with such a trick. Come out if you dare." Roar. Beast howls shook the skies and quaked the earth. That's rumble. With a shudder stronger than the army's previous marching, a horde of spiritual beasts came into sight. They were not ordinary spiritual beasts either, but carrying armored warriors. Dugu Zhantian could tell that display from anywhere. Quanrong's beast army. What are they doing here, and so many on top of it? Dugu Lin asked. He wasn't the only one curious. Dugu Zhantian gnashed his teeth. That wretched Zhuge Changfeng sold his country. Letting this army run unchecked, it will slaughter the people and rain havoc on Tianyu. That rotten bastard has cast aside even the people for the world. Does he not care about heaven's wrath? Marshal, something stinks. Not even the Prime Minister would be so brazen as to let Quanrong into Tianyu in such an open fashion and undetected as well. There hasn't even been a word from the border. Dugu Feng frowned. Dugu Zhantian's suspicions grew, but he had no time to unravel them. The beast army was upon them and not even their numbers would prove to help them here, with no support from arrays. Chapter 467, The 5 Wolf Wardens. Chapter 467, The 5 Wolf Wardens. Tigers, echelon formation. As the beast army closed in, Dugu Zhantian shouted orders. The 4 tigers of Tianyu bowed and split the 1,000,000 soldiers into 4 divisions and charged. The division formed cohesive units sharpened into daggers as they got ready to break the encirclement before the enemy had yet to reach them. The cold eyes in the woods laughed, Dugu Zhantian, you're as good as ever in using your men. Steel Arm Wolf and Ironback Wolf, go block them. Blood Shadow Wolf and Howling Wind Wolf, flank them. Slaughter Wolf, meet them head on. Understood. The trees echoed back. They heard shuffling for a while, leaving only the same cold eyes behind. Roar. Massive beasts were upon the 4 divisions with a stampede, sending gore and blood everywhere while trampling the rest. Close to 1,000 of such huge beasts rained havoc on the men. The divisions fused their yuan qi into an impenetrable shield, pushing back the spiritual beasts. This was Dugu army's renowned strength displayed to its true potential. Each soldier stood weak alone, but here, they were a cog in this murder machine. Not even a team of radiant stage experts would mess with them. It made them so powerful that even Dugu Zhantian, the only Regent Estate expert in the Dugu army, intimidated the likes of Regent Estate. Luo Yunhai postulated that even Gu Santong would find it hard to fight this army. It wasn't as simple as 1 + 1. The added force was more than the sum of its parts. This gave Dugu Zhantian ultimate power in Tianyu, thanks to his 3 million men. Second brother, the Chuanrong doesn't look to have a real commander. We can break free. Dugu Feng shouted. Dugu Lin nodded, but frowned. Is that really the case? So many of Chuanrong's beasts have invaded Tianyu, yet without a leader. Forgetting the fact that a Chuanrong soldier never listened to a Tianyu general's orders, there was no way for a Tianyu general to command them simply because they were Chuanrong. Not even the Dugu army, having fought with them for years and years, could claim that they knew about Chuanrong's beast army tactics. But to come here without any leaders? That was outrageous. It was no different than a stampede. Loud bangs announced tens of thousands of 100-meter-tall spiritual beasts in the 4th level, falling down like a meteor shower. They grouped up the moment they landed, with their riders making seals. The spiritual beasts turned into a unified force, wrapping them in a fierce yuan qi veil, acting as a wall. For crying out loud. Speak of the wolf. Dugu Feng raved, it's Chuanrong's formation, Vajra Earth. Stop looking so surprised. We've seen it dozens of times. Brother, stand aside. Let me punch a hole in that wall of theirs. Dugu Hu roared. Dugu Feng nodded. Third is the best when it comes to head-on attacks. He's best at tackling this headache. Dugu Hu signaled for the men to part. Dugu Hu sped up until he was out. His division's yuan qi shield grew thicker, even igniting and becoming visible, testament to its raw power. Take them down in one go. Dugu Hu shouted, his soldiers echoing his valor. It was then that a golden figure appeared between the 2 clashing forces. His yuan qi melding with the spiritual beast's yuan qi wall. Dugu Hu shouted, Ironback Wolf. In the flesh. Dugu Hu, you'll never get past me. The man laughed. Boom. Red and golden waves clashed in a deadlock, while the 2 foremost men were Dugu Hua and the sinister Ironback Wolf. Their arms tangled, with no one budging an inch. Their own armies fueled their battle with yuan qi. What looked like a mere brawl between 2 men, had far greater implications. As the formations themselves came into play, it involved the yuan qi of hundreds of thousands of soldiers. One side had to slip but a fraction and the other's yuan qi would mow them down like grass. A thin line between glory and oblivion. Dugu Hua, you're still so tough after all these years. Ha ha ha, I was right in coming here. Ironback Wolf grew excited. Dugu Hua laughed, my training shall never stop until I take your hide. You and me both. Ironback Wolf echoed his battle spirit. Dugu Feng had other thoughts, coming over with his division, sorry to spoil your fun, but this is war, not your playground. I don't think any of you would mind me helping the old third. Leader of the 4 Tigers of Tianyu, Windwalker Dugu Feng. Ironback Wolf spoke, did you actually think you're the only one with an overwatch? Dugu Feng felt uneasy. In a flash of gray, Dugu Feng's advance came to a halt. His own 200,000-strong division had to move aside from the Grey Yuan Qi sweep. He saw far in the distance a robed man with his own army of 100,000 spiritual beasts. Dugu Feng's voice was heavy, steel-arm wolf. Behind the both clashes, Dugu Lin looked on with unease. 3 of the 8 wolf wardens are in the imperial capital, yet 2 have shown up here. Roar. The sudden outburst coming from both sides broke him out of his thoughts. The outburst came from spiritual beasts, but not your ordinary ones. Dugu Lin grew frantic as he saw on his left, a beast army covered in a red glow and going berserk. Leading them was a man with red hair. Dugu Lin gasped, "It's him. Blood Shadow Wolf." Unlike the rest of wolf wardens, he was a rare beast master that could arouse the bestial instinct through a secret blood art, rendering them rabid and 10 times as strong. It was the greatest thorn to Dugu army each time they clashed. With this place in chaos, the ever-calm Dugu Lin felt unnerved at last. And misery sure loved company. Coming on his right was another beast army in a heavy march. Howling Wind Wolf. Dugu Lin's heart hit rock bottom. Howling Wind Wolf was another beast master, specialized in speed. He was as fast as Dugu Feng. Though in this case, it was also a matter of size. The huge bodies of spiritual beasts going at such speeds would leave only gore and havoc in its wake. Sweating buckets, Dugu Lin was at an impasse. A yellow glow flashed by Dugu Lin's division. Unshakable mountain. Boom! Howling Wind Wolf's army came to a halt at Dugu Shan and his division's intervention. Dugu Zhantian gave his godson free rein in training his troops, forming the strongest Yuan Qi wall in his entire army. What they lacked in speed, they made up for in stability. It couldn't punch through a blockade, but given time, it would come out on top in any conflict. The beast army had a hard time even shaking this iron shield. Even so, Dugu Shan's side was pushed back a dozen meters from the impact, with their faces turning yellow. "Dugu Shan, you blocked me again." Howling Wind Wolf raved. Dugu Shan snickered, "True, it's always me cutting you off, he he he. Second brother, I leave Blood Shadow Wolf to you." Dugu Shan focused on the enemy coming for another strike, pushing him back one step at a time. Dugu Lin nodded, turning to Blood Shadow Wolf with a resolved look, maze formation, silent as a forest. Chapter 468, Tuoba Taizhan. Chapter 468, Tuoba Taizhan. Whoosh! The wedge formation stopped and the 250,000 soldiers shifted into 5 squares, like a plum blossom. The Yuan Qi remained linked in strange arcs and covered the sky in glittering stars. Blood Shadow Wolf looked unsettled at the new formation. But with an army of stampeding crazed beasts behind him, he had to charge. The huge beasts thundered the earth as they trampled at the men. Yet the result was ludicrous. As the spiritual beasts approached, the soldiers skirted to the side, letting them go straight for the heart of the formation. Not for long though, as a loud bang came when the beasts were pushed in and out of a squad from the forces coming from either side, cut off from the rest of their beast army. Blood Shadow Wolf cried foul. A little too late though. Being the leader, he was separated from his main beast army. Without a chieftain, the beasts kept pouring into the formation as it spun and split the beast army into bite-sized chunks. Going with the flow, the beasts followed the spin of the formation. As they revolved around, the spiritual beast's rage cooled down from all the confusion in the end. Blood Shadow Wolf panicked. Dugu Lin's formation was made as a counter for his army in mind. Dugu Lin bore a cold smile, directing his men to shift formation and not let them break out. It was only a matter of time before the spiritual beasts grew weary and collapsed, leaving Blood Shadow Wolf alone. The 4 tigers of Tianyu each found their opponents in different settings, at an advantage, pushed back, or in a stalemate. The eyes among the trees praised, "Dugu army has held out for 10 years for a reason. But you only resisted my beast army because of a raise. As rushed as you are to come to aid, you had no time to lay any. Ha ha ha. With a hiss, a white flash covered the battlefield. Duguhua's army was flung into the air from a brutal impact, collapsing the formation. The savage enemy's aura mowed down thousands of the fallen soldiers. Dugu Feng rushed to his aid. He switched formations and defended, shields in front. Iron wall formation. Bang! With the shields ahead, the Yuan Qi made a thick barrier. The white flash bounced back, but Dugu Feng's men spat blood from the impact. A man holding a silver spear appeared. He was a youth in white armor leading a team of white-armored soldiers. It was a rarity among the Chuanrong military. Experts in beast handling, their armies needed spiritual beasts to reach their peak power. Chuanrong and spiritual beasts were forever tied together. Him being the exception. Even without the spiritual beasts to help him, he held an undefeated record in the Chuanrong army. Slaughter Wolf, leader of the 8 wolf wardens. Dugu Feng started sweating seeing the bloodlust washing over his men. Duguhua got back into formation, his little heart thumping inside from that scare. That was close, but he had gone through similar experiences before. Slaughter Wolf's army broke his formation in one strike. The unified Yuan Qi scattered and left them easy pickings. If he'd continued the charge, 100,000 men would fall easily. Duguhua was still standing thanks to Dugu Feng's timely help. Duguhua gave him a grateful look to which Dugu Feng nodded. But when they turned to Slaughter Wolf, they felt the pressure again. Just how strong is Slaughter Wolf's army to blast away Duguhua's? The 4 tigers of Tianyu never took defensive formations except around this enemy, but even that would only delay the inevitable. Dugu Lin glanced over, tense. Without an array, they were on the losing side against the 8 wolf wardens. And since this was an ambush, it was even worse. Whoosh! A stalwart figure landed in the center of the battlefield. He stabbed his crescent blade into the ground and said, "Regroup into Dragon Soul formation." Everyone lit up at the arrival of their marshal. The 4 tigers gathered in the center. Dugu Feng and Duguhua retreated, while Ironback Wolf, Steel Arm Wolf and Rabid Wolf simply watched. Dugu Shan fell back while Howling Wind Wolf remained in place. Dugu Lin withdrew and Blood Shadow Wolf rejoined his beast army and had them go berserk again. Yet all they did was observe the Dugu army tighten into an odd shape. The 4 tigers of Tianyu made up the 4 sides while Dugu Zhantian made up the center, unaffected by the surrounding enemy. "Younguns, do you really take us for nothing without arrays? Humph, Dugu army shall never fall. Come, I will personally show you my army's true skill." Dugu Zhantian laughed, his imposing figure sending shivers down the 5 Chuanrong armies. "Don't mind if we do, old marshal." Cupping his hands, Slaughter Wolf and the other 4 nodded. The 5 armies charged. Howling Wind Wolf with his speed, Blood Shadow Wolf with his berserk beasts, Ironback Wolf with his staunch troops and Steel Arm Wolf with his uncanny strength. Yet none of them could match the bloodthirst coming off of Slaughter Wolf's army, sending shivers into the bones of every Tianyu soldier. Before they acted, Dugu Zhantian ordered with a wave of his blade, Dragon Soul formation, coiling the world. Roar! A dragon flew out of dragon-slaying crescent blade while the army made a seal, fusing their Yuan Qi. The entire army's Yuan Qi turned physical from the quantity. The dragon swam in this sea like a fish in water, absorbing its power. A dragon was unequaled in its waters, growing dozens of meters in a blink, into a 1,000-meter behemoth winding among the soldiers and ensuring their safety. The 5 enemy teams were startled, but their charge was already underway. Bam! With 5 rumblings, the armies were flung back by the dragon, even Slaughter Wolves. Blood spilled from their mouths, with the spiritual beasts throwing off their riders while collapsing. Dugu Zhantian flicked his blade for the dragon to return. "How do you like Dugu army now?" The 4 wolves glared at the invincible marshal, unwilling and powerless. Dugu Zhantian shouted, "With Chuanrong's 5 wolf wardens here, including Slaughter Wolf, that means Tuoba Taizhan isn't far behind." isn't it about time you show yourself? Ha ha ha, the only reason I'm in Tianyu is to see you, old marshal. A bearded figure stepped out of the tree line. A middle-aged grizzled scholar walking along with his men. The 5 wolves crawled to their feet and bowed, Commander. The commander-in-chief of the Chuanrong, Tuoba Taizhan, had entered the scene. Chapter 469, Lone Goose Gorge. Chapter 469, Lone Goose Gorge. Dugu Zhantian laughed on meeting his old enemy, Tuoba Taizhan. What is the commander-in-chief of the Chuanrong doing so deep in Tianyu? Just what did Zhuge Changfeng give you to get so many of your fine men to face me? It must have cost a pretty penny wasting so many supplies. Ha ha ha, you can't get under my skin, Dugu Zhantian. I am here on the orders of my emperor, not to settle any grudges. Tuoba Taizhan said, though I was quite eager to come, I might add. Being rivals for decades, I want to take that head of yours myself. Dugu Zhantian snorted, big words. We've been fighting for decades, always ending in a draw. Yet you want to defeat me today. Why, can't I? Tuoba Taizhan raised an eyebrow. All our battles had been waged using everything at our disposal. You had your arrays and formations while I had the beast army. But now, there's no array here to help you and my beast army is hardly damaged. Your wings are clipped while I am stronger than ever. You've lost your edge while I've kept mine. The victory today may be without honor, but all's fair in love and war. Your defeat is justly deserved. Dugu Zhantian glared, waved his crescent blade and pointed at his men. My men are strong and in good heart, welcoming death. They're better than your pets even without the arrays. Did you not see how I flung your 5 armies back? Oh, really? Grinning, Tuoba Taizhan eyed him. Old Dugu, this trick might work on the 8 wolf wardens, but it won't fool these eyes of mine. Tuoba Taizhan pointed at Dugu army, mocking, any army, no matter how brave, will be weary marching for months now. It's basic knowledge. And to unleash that move of yours, your army is heaving. Dugu Zhantian's brow twitched, but the 4 tigers of Tianyu's hearts jumped. Ha ha ha, I may lack in arrays, but I at least know arrays work with spirit stones, using the power of the world to operate. And what did you use instead? By my reckoning, that dragon's soul in that blade of yours has no energy of its own. You used your own army's yuan qi to push back my men. Smiley face, the dragon's soul here is the weapon's spirit. Snickering, Tuoba Taizhan shouted, it used up most of your men's reserves. You could use the same move a couple of more times and that's it, for you and your army. While my beast army will have to charge each time, it will hardly lose its strength. Dugu Zhantian, face it, using that move is a sign that you're on the brink of defeat. You'd have never used it otherwise. The wolf wardens perked up. That's what it is, a trick to hide his exhaustion. Worst case scenario, we'll have a bitter victory. The wolves snickered and got ready to attack. The 4 tigers of Tianyu asked uneasily, Marshal. Dugu Zhantian squinted, remember the Lone Goose Gorge we passed 10 miles back? That choke point is the best place to hold them back. We'll use the dragon's soul to break away and rush for the gorge. That's where our odds of victory lie. But Godfather. Dugu Lin spoke anxiously, Marshal, have you forgotten the high priest's scrying? Lone Goose Gorge will be where your life ends. We can't go there. The wind scatters the lone goose's leaves. Once in, the Lord is nevermore. Dugu Zhantian sighed, this was the high priest's advice. That I strived for the world and violated my lord's orders, paying with my life. Lone Goose Gorge is my grave. Going in, I'll only come back as dust. But what choice do we have? Am I one to bet the lives of my army on some silly superstition? Ha ha ha, Dugu Zhantian regained his mettle, tigers, dragon soul formation, soaring dragon. The tiger's eyes grew wet, we obey, Marshal. They took up their duty and led their divisions. Tuoba Taizhan frowned, wolf wardens, flying tiger formation, with Slaughter Wolf in the lead and the others flanking him. Understood. The wolves began their assault. The wind picked up in a violent storm as the wolves turned into a dagger under the might of hundreds of thousands of savage beasts, heading straight for Dugu army. The beasts howled, scaring the forest animals within 100 miles. Dugu Zhantian held his crescent blade as he led in meeting the enemy. The tigers behind him followed close as the Dugu army took the shape of a dragon. The wolves sneered, "It's just a longer snake, a straight line, focused on neither attack nor defense. Marshal Dugu, are you looking down on us? Ignorant whelps, this is no snake formation, but a soaring dragon." Dugu Zhantian thrusted his blade at the sky and with a dragon's roar, the dragon's soul came out. Instead of sucking in the army's yuan, it fused with theirs. The snake formation changed into a veritable dragon taking to the skies, carrying millions of soldiers with it. Tuoba Taizhan cried out. "That's no defensive tactic, but a charging one. But with the army on its last leg in defense, going on the offensive will make their yuan chi." Tuoba Taizhan surmised. Bam! The Five Wolves army and Dugu army clashed. The banging and shouting came just as soon as the Five Wolves were blasted aside from the dragon's path. Ugh! The men were flung aside in a trail of dark blood while the spiritual beasts slammed the ground, with 10,000 of them never getting up and half of them in critical state. The Five Wolves shuddered at the might of Dugu army. "Commander, what do we do?" Slaughter Wolf wiped his bloody mouth as he waited eagerly. He never knew defeat in his life, finding an easy victory boring. Yet meeting Dugu army filled him with excitement, finding value in the victory that followed in beating such a tough opponent. Tuoba Taizhan smiled, "Chase. Let's see how long they'll last." "Commander, that move had us on the ropes. What will chasing do against that?" Howling Wind Wolf asked. Tuoba Taizhan snorted, "Is there a need to flee if it's that strong? His army is spent from using it. His men have no more left to give. It's the best chance to take them down." They all grew excited. After tending to their wounded, Tuoba Taizhan took his wardens after the Dugu army. An hour later, the dragon touched down. The dragon's soul left behind pale figures gasping for air, with many others breathing their last. The four tigers of Tianyu looked ahead at the losses as they huffed. "The dragon's soul formation is too taxing." Dugu Feng sighed. Dugu Zhantian lamented as well, "Tally the losses." Understood. The four tigers soon came back with a report, "Marshal, we lost 300,000 of our brothers. Losing a third before the battle has even started. It is the greatest loss this Dugu army has ever had. I have failed my men." Dugu army sighed. The tigers were morose. Dugu army had only known victory since it came to be. "Marshal, Lone Goose Gorge is up ahead. Tuoba Taizhan will catch up soon. We have to get ready." Dugu Lin proposed. Dugu Zhantian nodded, leading his army. Upon finding the sign saying Lone Goose Gorge at the entrance and the chilly wind coming from it, a sorrow struck his heart. "Is this where I meet my end?" Sighing, Dugu Zhantian entered, followed by his men, swallowed by the thick and endless fog. Chapter 470, Empty City. Chapter 470, Empty City. Boom. The rumbling earth announced a flood of spiritual beasts marching for the gorge. There was not even a stone around the entrance, only a sign saying Lone Goose Gorge. "Stop!" The leading general raised his hand. His wolves came to his side. "Commander, what is it?" Tuoba Taizhan scrutinized the thick mist and the gorge. "Old Dugu must be close, on account of his exhausted men. This is the only place within 100 miles to hide his army. Howling Wind Wolf, pick seasoned men and scout the gorge." Tuoba Taizhan ordered. Howling Wind Wolf bowed, "At your command." He gathered a few thousand hardened soldiers into a division, each riding a violent spiritual beast as they marched in. He barely took a few steps past the entrance of the gorge and he heard thunder above him and raging flames exploding into flaming snakes from the ground beneath him. His team was trapped. Howling Wind Wolf cried, "Array! Retreat! Too little too late." A blue glow shot for him, blasting him and his formation everywhere, cutting away the only advantage they had. Howling Wind Wolf spat, "Dugufeng. He, got you." Dugufeng charged with his 100,000 troops. Their hardened gazes and the ferocious looks didn't look like any exhausted troops he ever saw. With his spiritual beast formation all over the place, there were hundreds of spiritual beasts breathing their last in a mournful and agonizing cry. It was lucky that these were spiritual beasts and not soldiers, or the damage would have been in the thousands. For God's sake, Dugu army never loses its mettle. Fighting now will only lead to defeat. I better retreat. Howling Wind Wolf gathered the rest of his beasts and used his art to speed away from the gorge. "Dugufeng, fight me if you dare. Save your taunts, it won't work." Dugufeng snickered, watching him go. Howling Wind Wolf relaxed, having obtained an easy retreat. Just what he wanted, using reverse psychology to make Dugufeng falter from chasing. Or he'd be decimated along with his division with Dugufeng's style. He thought Dugufeng believed it to be bait and stayed put, when in fact it was all in Dugufeng's plan to let him go. "Big brother, did they buy it, Marshall's empty city tactic?" Dugu Lin asked Dugufeng. He nodded, "Yes, or they'd be marching their entire large army at us with no chance to resist since." Dugufeng looked at his men, "These are the only ones still standing." Howling Wind Wolf fled with his tail between his legs and routed his troops. Tuoba Taizhan asked, "Howling Wind Wolf, what happened? From what I heard it seems you were duped." "Commander, Dugu army has set up camp inside as you predicted. But they have arrays in place. Adding the narrow gorge, our beast army can't use their numbers to our advantage. And if we go in too few, we'll lose." Howling Wind Wolf was sullen. Tuoba Taizhan spoke, "Even with arrays, few of their men can even stand. No. They are filled with zest. Dugufeng's division is at full power, stronger than ever. And with the array, he had me suffer a crushing defeat." Howling Wind Wolf sighed. Tuoba Taizhan was skeptical, "Slaughter Wolf, test them out. But at any sign of them holding strong yet, you are to come back at once." "Understood." Slaughter Wolf bowed and led a few thousand of his eager and bloodthirsty men towards the gorge. Just like in Howling Wind Wolf's case, lightning and fire came from everywhere. But he grew excited instead, pushing forward with his heaven-drawn halberd. Not for long though, as the blue light came for him just the same in the form of Dugufeng's division. Dugufeng even laughed, 8 Wolf Warden's leader, Slaughter Wolf. Taking him will be cutting Tuoba Tishan's arm. Humph, I'd like to see you try. Slaughter Wolf's men gathered their killing intent in their arm, while his halberd whistled through the air in a slash. Bam! The white and blue glows collided, canceling each other out. While Slaughter Wolf's slash sent Dugufeng's men flying. His eager mockery was cut short as roaring shouts echoed throughout the gorge. The other tigers made their glorious appearance with their own mighty division. Their soldiers were the peak of power, bursting with energy. Dugu army still has fight left in them. Slaughter Wolf signaled for retreat. No matter how cocky, he knew his limits. Facing 4 tigers was bad enough, they also had a field advantage with an array in place. A battle now would be most discouraging and costly. Erring on the side of caution, Slaughter Wolf vanished from the mist and out of the gorge. Just missing out on the 3 tigers' divisions fading out into nothing. The brothers reunited and Dugu Lin asked, Big brother, how are you holding? Taking a deep breath, Dugufeng held his chest and nodded, I can still take it, just that my chest is heavy. Slaughter Wolf is no joke. We're fortunate for Godfather's foresight, that Tuoba Taizhan will send scouts first. We hastily drew a firestorm array, a lightning array and even an illusion array, or we wouldn't have scared them, ha ha ha. Dugu Lin chuckled, Big brother, only your men are real. Ours are the bluff. We would have died if Slaughter Wolf didn't buy it. The four laughed it out. The clueless Slaughter Wolf bought it hook, line and sinker as he reported, Commander, they've set up an ambush. Dugu army hasn't lost many men either. From what I saw, 400,000 men at the minimum are still holding strong. With that many standing in formation will make attacking fruitless. Tuoba Taizhan frowned, was I wrong? Old Dugu's men haven't grown weary. The old-timer sure knows a thing or two. Surround the gorge, we'll starve them out. Let's see them come out then. Tuoba Taizhan ordered. The men bowed. The four tigers noticed their movements and saw no attack coming anytime soon. They went deeper into the gorge, to their camp, but left the men behind as guards. Around the command tent, the soldiers were laying down as far as the eye could see. After the dragon's flight, they were more than just spent, needing days to recover. Leaving but a few tens of thousands helping the tigers scare the Chuanrong. Or they'd be marching into the gorge and cull down Dugu army like mowing grass. Although the danger had yet to pass. Marshal, Chuanrong army has us surrounded to cut our supplies short. Orders, Marshal. In the tent, Dugu Feng bowed. Dugu Zhantian was crestfallen, left with no choice but to take it one step at a time. Dugu Lin proposed, should we call for help? Who exactly? The imperial capital is under siege, with His Majesty's situation unknown. Dugu Zhantian sighed, who knew the day would come when I would be trapped in my homeland? Zhuge Changfeng, you've got me good. The four tigers of Tianyu sighed. Dugu Lin spoke again, ask, fifth. The other tigers lit up with hope. Chapter 471, Heavenly Dew. Chapter 471, Heavenly Dew. Yeah, fifth has been through a string of victories and has the 7 houses under him. Luo clan is short on staff, but with the ineffable Zhuo Fan, he'll break our siege. Dugu Feng clapped, shouting. The others nodded. Dugu Zhantian was the only one steamed, silence, call for help comes first and then the rest. But we can call on anyone but fifth. Why? Dugu Feng crumbled. Dugu Zhantian sighed, ever since Zhuo Fan got the dragon's soul and entered His Majesty's sight, fifth has been behind him all the way and our bond has been cut. Each to his own fate. Moreover, we were just about to destroy the Luo clan. And now that we're on the ropes, we're supposed to ask them for help. Have we no dignity? But Marshal, fifth won't care. He will always stick to his marshal. Dugu Feng grumbled. Dugu Zhantian softened, but steeled himself back, barking, listen up and listen good. Don't you send fifth any jade or I'll use martial law on you. Marshal. They all shouted. Dugu Zhantian wouldn't have it, he might do it out of respect for our past, but it was I who broke it off. I am not Dugu Zhantian if I stoop to such a low act as using him to save me from this entrapment. You dare notify him and you'll be shaming my righteous name, throwing all I've lived for into the mud. I will have no face to live. The four tigers of Tianyu's hearts sank, shaking their heads. For him to say that, they knew there was no talking to him. Dugu Zhantian watched their bent backs as they left, filled with sorrow. Big brother, second brother, how are we going to get out alive without fifth's help? The four went to a corner where Dugu Hu whispered. Dugu Lin's eyes sharpened, I'm sending the jade. Didn't you hear what Godfather said? His integrity is at stake here. Fifth might come, he might save us, but Godfather, Dugu Feng worried. Dugu Lin said, brothers, don't you find all of this strange? Strange? The others asked. His Majesty sent us after Regent Estate and Luo clan and our travel there had been quiet, but then came his edict to return on the eve of battle. Isn't it obvious that if the imperial capital is under siege then His Majesty would call for help? Dugu Feng asked. That's not the issue, but we all know His Majesty. Would the mind who incited the war between Luo clan and Regent Estate have no fallback? For argument's sake, let's say he doesn't, but anyone knows closer help is faster. Why the rash edict, making both sides unable to achieve anything? Dugu Lin analyzed at the nods of the others. Not to mention, our ambush and current situation shows signs of someone's design. Dugu Lin sighed. Dugu army is a seasoned and efficient war machine. We're in this mess, trapped, because His Majesty called us back in haste. Does that mean the edict is fake? Zhuge Changfeng led us to a trap. Dugu Feng started, which means the imperial capital fell and His Majesty's seal is in Zhuge Changfeng's hands. Breathing out, Dugu Lin shook his head. I am not clear on this. But someone is. Who? Luo clan's steward, Zhuo Fan. Dugu Lin was firm. Have you forgotten? Zhuo Fan found out about us but still went about his business like usual. We took it for his usual cocky self, but in hindsight, it points out what a know-all he is. That our fight was never meant to happen. What? Dugu Feng cried. You mean Zhuo Fan is in on Zhuge Changfeng selling his country? Won't calling out to Fifth end up being pointless then? But for Zhuo Fan to end up controlling everything. The others turned heavy. Dugu Lin shook his head. Perhaps not. When Fifth was with us, not just once did he praise his steward's desire to set Luo clan at the top of the food chain. Harsh, but he never demeaned his masters. He even respects them to the end. No, I believe Luo clan had no part in Dugu army's ambush. Even if they had something to do with it, with Fifth around, we'd have a way out and then get to ask Zhuo Fan for an explanation. They all nodded, seeing wisdom in it. But Godfather, Dugu Hua hesitated. Dugu Lin smiled. Godfather's integrity is important, but I, crouching forest tiger Dugu Lin is scared of death and shall plead Fifth for help. I will bear full responsibility. How can you shoulder it alone? I'm a scaredy cat myself. Dugu Feng chuckled. Dugu Shan and Dugu Hua shrugged. We four brothers live and die together in the pursuit of our ambition. Since you want to live, so do we. The four burst out laughing. Dugu Lin, in the four's name, sent a jade out of the gorge. The flash of green vanished among the clouds, carrying the hopes of all the Dugu army. Unaware to them, Dugu Zhantian had been onto them from the start, standing a ways away. Dugu Zhantian sighed. Foolish children, you have a long way ahead of you. It's best if I take this vilification on myself. He then vanished among the mist. In a hidden room in Windgaze City, Li Jingtian laid on a bed, frail and weakened. Zhuo Fan and Yen Song were watching over him. Yen Song shook his head after a summary checkup. Elder Li is truly hurt-headed. He staked his meridians on showing off his tough side. But was it worth dying for? Ha ha ha, you don't get a martial fanatic's mind. Zhuo Fan chuckled. Haven't you been gushing blood in the 100-pill meeting over our bet just to beat me? You're no less stubborn than he is. Yen Song nodded. Steward Zhuo has a point. Different strokes for different folks. Elder Li is a martial fanatic and I'm a pill fanatic. Both willing to stake our all for self-interest. We're on the same path. He, I just love you guys' character. Dedicated and worthy to groom. Zhuo Fan snickered, showing his admiration. Back then, I escaped a disaster and now I'm a 9th-grade alchemist, thanks to Steward Zhuo's care. But Elder Li has broken meridians, a cripple. How will his future be? He might even commit suicide when he hears that he can't train. Yen Song sighed. The only way to recover is through Bodhi root, but that thing has been refined. Just what? Oh, no. Zhuo Fan chuckled. Bodhi root is worldly essence, offering endless vitality, but even that can't mend meridians. Bodhi root would only recover Elder Li's body, leaving him with crippled meridians. He is stuck in this place forever, at the peak radiant stage. It will be a crushing blow for this martial fanatic. It'd be good enough if he could at least recover. Yen Song shook his head. Ha ha ha, Elder Yen, if it's about giving his strength back, I'll just make him a war puppet, with bones as tough as steel and uncanny might. Since I'll help him, I won't stop at just saving him, but will make sure to take him to new heights. Yen Song smiled. Steward Zhua has a way. Of course. Raising an eyebrow, Zhua Fan said, or I'd have stepped in and stopped his fight. As I had the means to save him, I let him go all out. Zhua Fan's hand held a vial. Here is the 12th grade ingredient 100 leaves heaven flowers nectar and the 10th grade ingredient heavenly dew. An ingredient to make a 10th grade pill, heaven-reaching pill. It mends bones, it mends veins. Even meridians will be as good as new from total destruction. And all will be much stronger in the process. The best pill for any cultivator. 10th grade. Yen Song gulped, a fire like never before burning in his eyes. Chapter 472, Where Your Heart Is. Chapter 472, Where Your Heart Is. It was plain to see what he wanted. Zhua Fan smiled, handing over the vial. Elder Yen, are you curious to try your hand, challenge yourself by making a 10th grade pill? Steward Zhua, you're letting me do it. Licking his lips, Yen Song was worried, what if I fail? It will be a waste of such a rare gem. There's plenty more where that came from. Zhua Fan laughed with a casual wave. He gave him a paper. Here's the formula. Achieve success and you will not only save elderly, but bring Luo clan to a whole new level. Yen Song had a silly smile, taking the items. With a tyrant like Steward Zhua at my back, it is everything an alchemist ever dreamed of. I will give my all in refining it. I won't let you down. Yen Song hardened his will. Zhua Fan plotted for the last battle while filling his free time with a casual refining of war puppets over the next 7 days. Zhua Fan wanted to check on Yen Song's progress when the alchemist came over laughing. Steward Zhua, I did it. Zhua Fan was taken aback. It hasn't been long since Yen Song became a 9th grade alchemist, yet made a 10th grade pill so easily. He figured giving the first vial of heavenly dew was to help his progress, yet the result. Zhua Fan held more praise for the old man. Vicious pill king in name and skill. A shame he met the demonic emperor so late, or he'd be way above a 9th grade alchemist. Yen Song cackled in glee and showed a vial. Steward Zhua, what do you think of my 10th grade pill? Though I had to use the whole dew to make it. That's not bad at all. Zhua Fan smiled and opened it. As the thick pill fragrance hit him, his blood sped up. Top 10th grade, and on the old coot's first time too. Astonishing. Zhua Fan gulped the pill and sat cross-legged. 6 hours whistled by and Zhua Fan's aura exploded into the 5th layer of profound heaven stage. Then 6th. Zhua Fan felt his newfound power surging through his newly widened meridians. Ha ha ha, Elder Yen, that's a fine heaven-reaching pill you've made there. You're a true genius of alchemy. Yen Song flushed, giggling. Here, do your best in refining and saving elderly. Zhua Fan gave him 10 more vials of heavenly dew. Yen Song was overjoyed. Ha ha ha, with a money bag like Sir behind us, it's our greatest blessing. Elder Yen, not to brag, but I have top ingredients to spare. I have no qualms squandering on such a dedicated alchemist. Yen Song gave a firm nod as he shook. Testing himself and his limits in alchemy every step of the way was an alchemist's wet dream. But reality always came crashing down like a ton of bricks. Ignoring one's skill and cultivation, turning a top ingredient into an equally top pill was easier said than done. Searching for that rare ingredient for decades only to fail in refining it would make all that blood and sweat go to waste. While Zhua Fan, throwing away ingredients these alchemists had never even heard of, was acting in the full capacity of the best, or worst, spendthrift that ever lived, or would live. An infinitesimal amount Zhua Fan got from vaulting Kunpeng's treasury, true, but even this might have made these poor schmucks rich beyond their wildest dreams. To the point that no one, be it sect or nation, could hold a candle to Zhua Fan's inherited legacy. Yen Song, drinking from the tap, was moved to tears. Affirmed once more of how right he was in throwing his lot to Zhuo Fan's way. He's a friggin' reliable wastrel of a master. With Zhuo Fan's grand style in throwing his wealth around, all alchemists would be flocking in droves, hugging his legs until he budged. He was the idol of everyone. Rich boy, let's be friends. Big brother Zhuo, godfather, is in danger. Zhuo Fan turned to see Luo Yunhai running over. Yen Song bowed, young master. Zhuo Fan saw it coming. Dugu Zhantian is loyal to a fault and inflexible. This day was bound to come sooner or later. Big brother Zhuo, why you knew? Luo Yunhai was speechless. Zhuo Fan nodded with a sagely look. Why else did you think I fought Regent Estate when I did? Even as Dugu army had us surrounded, I ignored it. You take me for that much of a stuck-up? Ha ha ha, it's because I knew there was someone out there wanting Dugu Zhantian's death more than us. Chuanrong. The jade shook in Luo Yunhai's hand. Zhuo Fan glanced over. I see, the old coot has the Chuanrong surrounding him to cry for help. That makes perfect sense. Big brother Zhuo, we must help godfather. The Chuanrong will have him starve to death. We must move now. Zhuo Fan had only a twisted smile to his urgency. Must? And why should I? They were after us just a little while ago, yet now we're supposed to save them. Luo Yunhai choked. Yen Song laughed. Young master, it was Dugu Zhantian who broke his ties with you to become enemies. Now that he's in peril, asking the national traitors he was out to root out is the cruelest irony of all. Ha ha ha. Luo Yunhai bit his lip, sighing. No matter what he does to me, he's still my godfather. He only came for me due to imperial edict. Godfather is loyal to the core and will never go against his lord's will. I am of firm belief that he was torn, having to set his soldiers on us. So? Zhuo Fan blurted, I'd respect him more if he went on a crusade against us. Being in inner turmoil yet still going to war makes him a loser god. What a funny title. Anyone would fail when going into war half-assed. His fate was sealed the minute he pledged loyalty to that lord of his. There's no bigger loser out there. He who knows nothing about right or wrong, does not follow his heart, and yet preaches undying loyalty to his king is the biggest fool and deserves nothing but death. Steward Zhuo makes sense. Yen Song clapped. Young master, the old man broke all ties with you and was about to kill his godson because of some edict. Why would you ever want to help such a failure of a godfather? Luo Yunhai turned bitter, pleading still. Big brother Zhuo, do you remember our difficulty? You could have left and roamed the world alone but still stayed to look after us and Captain Pang in fighting enemy after enemy to save our lives. Why? Can't let go. Zhuo Fan frowned and blurted. Why? Luo Yunhai pursued. Zhuo Fan said, my heart wasn't at peace. I am the same. Luo Yunhai pointed at his heart. I don't want to live with the regret of not helping godfather. Big brother Zhuo acted from his heart, and now I act out of mine and not for our past relationship. I hope you will help me. Zhuo Fan squinted. Luo Yunhai stared back, his gaze unfaltering. Zhuo Fan said, Elder Yen, call young Sanzi. We three will go to Lone Goose Gorge. Luo Yunhai brightened. Yen Song started, Steward Zhuo, you're really going to save him? What if he fights us because of the emperor again? Inconsequential. I am not saving the old bag of bones, but listening to my clan head's order. As his steward, I must do everything to help him. Zhuo Fan was filled with zest. Luo Yunhai was touched while Yen Song's face fell as he went to fetch Gu Santong. Chapter 473, Sneak Attack. Chapter 473, Sneak Attack. Who? A black smoke crossed the blue horizon. It gasped seeing the Chuanrong surrounding Lone Goose Gorge, siding with caution. Slaughter Wolf turned his sharp gaze to the sky and jumped with his halberd in hand. As an 8th-layer radiant stage expert, he was among the best in the Chuanrong, meeting the eerie smoke without fear. The halberd cut through the clouds like a snake. The humming it released gave off the illusion that it thirsted to pierce the sky in its assault on the black energy. But from that smoke came a black chain, bringing with it the full might of the world as it smashed down. Bam! Ear-piercing clang resounded from the stalemate. Slaughter Wolf felt a strong power numbing his hand. The iron chain shook and sent him back. He slammed into the ground and had to falter 20 steps before coming to a complete stop. Looking up, the smoke had already entered the valley. Slaughter Wolf, what was that just now? Tuoba Taizhan came with his other wolves to see that flicker of black. Slaughter Wolf wiped his brow. Commander, I do not know what that thing is, but it is a terrible expert. From a single clash I know I can't match it. What? Tuoba Taizhan turned pensive, inconsequential. He may be some worldly expert but no one can take my whole army on. He alone can't save old Dugu. Tighten the siege on Lone Goose Gorge. No one gets out. Understood. The soldiers bowed. Meanwhile, the shadow was surrounded by the 4 tigers of Tianyu and their divisions. With close to a month of respite, the Dugu army was back in action. But losses still came, as 100,000 soldiers died from exhaustion, leaving around 600,000 still standing. This force had the gorge to back them and was confident in pushing back the Chuanrong. Dugu Zhantian's empty city tactic had won the break they most desperately needed. Show yourself. Dugu Feng shouted. SSS. The black smoke drifted off to reveal a man in black robe bearing a hoarse voice. Easy, it's only me. His Majesty heard that Dugu army is pinned in Lone Goose Gorge and sent me to help. Where is Marshal Dugu? The man revealed a golden badge. Captain of the Shadow Guards, Shadow King. Dugu Feng frowned and signaled the troops to back off. Shadow King's coming ought to have been good news, that their rescue was nigh. But it only worked to arouse more suspicion at this critical time. By Dugu Lin's analysis, the imperial capital had to be in the Prime Minister's hand. That he sent the Dugu army a fake edict. Yet His Majesty's trusted man, Shadow King, had come with the Emperor's order. It clashed with their earlier assessment. Shadow King noticed the discrepancy from how the 4 tigers stood there. Did you not hear me? I have with me His Majesty's secret edict, and have come to lift the siege off of you. Now where's Dugu Zhantian? Godfather is in the command tent. Follow us. Dugu Lin relented on his suspicions so as not to offend an important official of the Emperor. He bowed as he walked with his brothers. Shadow King followed close with a cold glint in his eyes. At the tent, Dugu Lin reported Shadow King's arrival and Dugu Zhantian welcomed him, overjoyed. Sir Shadow King, welcome, welcome. Even as fellow pillars we've never gotten a chance to meet. Today I am honored, ha ha ha, Dugu Zhantian cupped his hands. Shadow King smiled, old Marshal is kind. I've heard so much about your valor for so long. I can say that I've also fulfilled my wish of meeting you at last. The two exchanged pleasantries and lively small talk. Dugu Zhantian soon reached to the problem at hand with a frown. Sir Shadow King, under His Majesty's order, I am required to rush to his aid. Can I ask how the situation is in the imperial capital? Ha ha ha, Marshal Dugu is a die-hard, a role model for everyone. Trapped as you are, the first thing you ask is His Majesty's safety. Shadow King nodded. Old Marshal can rest easy knowing the rebellion is over. I captured that rat, Zhuge Changfeng, with my shadow guards. The assault on the imperial capital has been lifted. That is why His Majesty sent me to Marshal's aid. Dugu Zhantian smiled relieved. Wonderful. Long live the Emperor. Long live Tianyu. Sir Shadow King, Chuanrong's million-strong army has crossed the border and has my army pinned down. What is His Majesty's solution? Dugu Zhantian added. He cares more about his army than the imperial capital. Shadow King grinned. His Majesty has everything in place. As this is a secret operation, I can only inform the Marshal. No one else is supposed to find out in order to avoid leaks. The 4 tigers jerked. What kind of edict is this that even we can't hear it? Dugu Zhantian dismissed them. We obey His Majesty's order. Wait outside. I'll signal you when to come in. Yes, Marshal. The 4 bowed and left. Shadow King's grin turned into a smirk. Old Marshal, lend me your ears. I shall present you with the edict now. Dugu Zhantian leaned over. Shadow King's face turned malevolent and slammed Dugu Zhantian's chest with his ghastly claw. Bam! Among the loud sounds, there were even snapping sounds from bones breaking. Dugu Zhantian spurted blood and could barely stand straight. He glared. Why, you're with that rat, Zhuge Changfeng, as well. Ha ha ha, Dugu Zhantian, you're good at war, so why be so confused with politics? Shadow King snickered. For the record, it's not Zhuge Changfeng who is after your life. He sits quite uncomfortably in the prison, never to see the light of day again. The one who's after you and your army is His Majesty. Dugu Zhantian was floored. It can't be. I've been nothing but loyal. How can His Majesty? Just as His Majesty said, there's no one more devoted to his country and lord than Marshal Dugu Zhantian. It tore His Majesty up doing this, but peace in Tianyu demands sacrifice, your sacrifice. Shadow King mocked. Oh, His Majesty did ask me to tell you this. You've toiled all your life for the good of Tianyu and it is now time for you to take rest. Dugu Zhantian never once thought to believe these words. He spoke, with blood gushing. No, never, His Majesty would never do this to me. Marshal. His tigers rushed in and roared at the sight. Shadow King, you've hurt our Marshal and now you're going to pay. Dugu Feng exploded with Yuan Qi. Shadow King patronized. 4 pre-radiant stage cubs. Without the army behind you, you're nothing. But since you're so eager to die, I can only oblige, while sparing His Majesty a future headache. Shadow King shot his black chain towards them. The tigers entered a formation, blending their Yuan Qi and multiplying their power. A darn shame there was no army behind them to complete it. Bam! The 4 trailed blood on their way to the ground, spent. Shadow King snickered. Not bad at all. Your formation managed to repel that. All the more reason your lives must end. Whoosh! Another chain went for Dugu Feng's chest. The other 3 struggled but couldn't even move. Dugu Zhantian struggled to his feet, only to collapse again. Watching his dear godson about to leave this world filled this great marshal with unspeakable hatred and rancor mixed with regret. How convenient that 3 men popped up in front of Dugu Feng in the nick of time to block the insidious black chain. Chapter 474, Expendable. Chapter 474, Expendable. That was the sound made by a tiny hand casually grasping the black chain. Shadow King's heart almost burst out of his chest with fright. Zhuofan, Gu Santong, what are you doing here? Not to forget Luo Yunhai, the weakest. But compared to Shadow King, everyone was weaker, with the exception being Zhuofan and Gu Santong. Marshal, brothers. Luo Yunhai gnashed his teeth at the cruel sight, his nails digging into his palms. Gu Santong took a look and got the gist of it. He said, Dad, we're late. No, perfect timing actually. Zhuofan smiled inside while nodding in sympathy for the rest. Shadow King, you and Dugu Zhantian are the most loyal people I know. Why stoop so low? Zhuofan criticized Shadow King, while also including the hurt Dugu Zhantian into his scolding, in passing. Shadow King smiled. Since you know about me, then you must also know that being on someone's payroll means doing the work for them. I'm only following orders. But since you two are here, I shall take my untimely leave. Shadow King flew away in a cloud of smoke. Luo Yunhai cried, Big brother Zhuo, stop him. Easy. Zhuofan snorted. He stuck out his 2 fingers as they released astonishing spatial energy right towards Shadow King. Profound ranked martial art, finger of death. Roar. The dragon roar shook the gorge. Having yet to tame his newfound 9 dragon souls, Zhuo Fan still had the azure flame to cower them into short-term submission and do his bidding. Like boosting the finger of death, for instance, a soul martial art to unseen levels. Shadow King felt the threat to his life before he was even hit. He flipped around and wrapped himself in the black robe for cover. Bam! Finger of Death's soul power struck the robe and slammed it into the ground. Zhuo Fan checked it over only to find it empty. Shadow King was gone. For God's sake, he still ran away. Zhuo Fan sighed, so he knows red herring too. And here I was thinking he'd used the robe to defend when in fact it was a cover to flee from our sight. Can a spirit puppet turn invisible? Gu Santong asked. Zhuo Fan nodded. Of course, how else do you think the shadow guards kept tabs on every power in the imperial capital? Though they can cheat our eyes, the same doesn't apply to their scent, albeit thinner, thanks to the art. But an expert will point them out any time. Since Shadow King got us distracted, he used this chance to get away. Gu Santong snickered. He, next time I'll just use my nose to flush him out. Let's see him run then. Marshal. A cry of sorrow came from the tent, getting the two's attention. They found Luo Yunhai hugging Dugu Zhantian and crying his eyes out. The 4 tigers crawled their wounded bodies over, as crestfallen as Luo Yunhai. Luo Yunhai turned with hope. Big brother Zhuo, please check Marshal's state. I gave him a pill but it didn't do anything. Let me. Zhuo Fan poured Yuan Qi into his body and shook his head. 7th grade demonic treasure, soul-rotting needle. There's no hope at all. 7th G grade. Luo Yunhai was startled. Zhuo Fan said, soul-rotting needle is a demonic treasure targeting souls. It fuses with the target's soul and eats it away to the point that nothing can separate it. Shadow King must have used it in that attack. Not even demonic cultivators would use such a ruthless move, except for bitter enemies and arch-nemesis. This demonic treasure is hard to come by, but it only shows how desperate the Emperor is in getting rid of Marshal. Everyone shuddered, overwhelmed with grief watching Dugu Zhantian's ashen face. Dugu Zhantian only felt loss and not sorrow. I have fought all my life with no regard to my own fate only to find my end with such a sordid passing, ha ha ha. Dugu Zhantian turned to Zhuo Fan. Even though unwilling to give my life, I shall obey my lord's order. I only wish that you would clear some things for me. Zhuo Fan nodded. Please ask, old marshal. I am versed in the art of war, but never had been complacent, always loyal to my lord and nation. What could I have done to garner his majesty's suspicion to give me this fate? Dugu Zhantian's eyes were filled with bitterness. Blood flowed from his mouth. As he turned a deaf ear to politics, he frowned in ignorance at the matters leading to this moment. Zhuo Fan replied with a question, Marshal, could you tell me what your biggest achievement is? Defending the border from Chuanrong's invasion. Dugu Zhantian stressed every word in pride. Zhuo Fan continued, then old Marshal, had the Chuanrong taken even one step forward before you came to command? Shuddering, Dugu Zhantian turned pensive. Dugu Feng spoke with valor. Before Marshal came, Chuanrong pillaged unchecked, slaughtering our people. But once Marshal was charged with the border, they never stepped foot in Tianyu again. So. Zhuo Fan cut him off. These lands are the Emperor's lands. Chuanrong's pillaging had nothing to do with him. In fact, the Empire's 3 guardian sects act as deterrents in keeping the Chuanrong from taking Tianyu's lands. As long as no acre was lost, everything was his. And since the Chuanrong were miles away, it was no service to His Majesty. Zhuo Fan, how can you say that? It is a great service to the people, to the nation. Old man, quiet. Let him speak. Dugu Feng argued and made Dugu Zhantian look heavy. Zhuo Fan smiled. Old Marshal's greatest merit in his life, even bigger than Zhuge Changfeng, was to make the 7 noble houses cower in fear. Dugu Zhantian shuddered, coming to his own conclusions. As an army man, glory and honor came from fighting outsiders. There were insignificant people to deal with rats pilfering the country. For this to be his greatest achievement would mean his biggest disgrace. Zhuo Fan resumed, I made some inquiries into the past centuries by talking to the house lords only to find out that from the moment young Sanzi appeared, the imperial family's power waned, giving way to the rise of the 4 pillars. The previous pillars couldn't deal with the situation, and with Yun Xuanji's guidance, His Majesty had Yu and Zhuge Changfeng take office and command, leading to the 4 pillars of today. What I'm saying is, the 4 pillars came to be only to keep the houses in check. His Majesty gave you command of the army and had you fight the Chuanrong, but not with the intent of protecting the borders. Instead, the purpose was to harden the men for the right time to face the 7 houses. To teach the 7 houses a lesson, he needed you 2 to stand in opposition and balance the scale. That implied coexistence as well. Once one of you was out, the other would outlive his usefulness. In other words, you're of no value any longer, expendable, replaceable. For His Majesty to draw in his net and wield all the power of these lands after dealing with Zhuge Changfeng, he has to take one last person out of the picture, you. Everyone stood dumbstruck at the revelation. Dugu Zhantian's heart was bleeding from pain. My very existence was a sham, a chess piece to balance the powers. What then is the Chuanrong army doing here? His Majesty can't be so foolish as to let them in. Dugu Zhantian exclaimed. Zhuo Fan sighed, Old Marshal Dugu, you're so naive, blind to the cruel and horrifying capacity of human greed, especially a monarch's. I dare say the emperor is willing to let these lands go to waste rather than not having them under Yuan clan's rule. Let them in. Ha ha ha, these wolves are helping him devour his enemies in his way to rule the world. At most, he'll just have to throw these wolves a bone. His explanation was in perfect tune with the emperor's grand design. Only Dugu Zhantian now lay in Luo Yunhai's arms, with closed and heavy eyes. What have I been risking my life the last decades for? Chapter 475, Marshal. Chapter 475, Marshal. Marshal. Everyone cried in worry at Dugu Zhantian's pained look. Dugu Zhantian had trekked these lands for decades, only to find himself another's toy all along. It would make any man enraged, to say nothing of their Grand Marshal. Waving feebly, Dugu Zhantian's eyes had lost their usual vigor. As his soul was chipped away, his greatest pride crumbled before his very eyes. Dugu Zhantian spoke in a hoarse and weakened voice, Zhuo Fan, I had said it before the esoteric debate, that you resemble me, just as loyal. You are striving for the Luo clan and I for the dynasty. If I am loyal to a fault, what then, are you fighting for? Zhuo Fan pointed to his heart, this is what moves me, what drives me. Staring at his heart, Dugu Zhantian's face enlightened, I see, love. I was talking about inner demons here. Zhuo Fan nodded even as his heart skipped a beat. A peculiar feeling wormed itself into his being. Dugu Zhantian stirred a deep corner of his heart and shook his mind to the core in the process. Bring me the dragon-slaying crescent blade. Dugu Zhantian raised his weary hand. The tigers finally recovered with Luo Yunhai's pills and could move again. Dugu Feng obeyed by presenting his cherished weapon on one knee. Dugu Zhantian grasped it with a trembling hand, but his eyes shone as he laughed, I asked Tianyu's best tool refiner to make it the first time I went to the borders. I once absorbed the dragon soul of Chuanrong's lands and on that day, it became my greatest pride. It had been my cherished companion for many years and now I bid it farewell. Tracing its blade, Dugu Zhantian was filled with love. He flicked the weapon and pushed it forward, Zhuo Fan, unlike me, you know what must be done. Take it and protect the Luo clan. The 4 tigers gasped, as did Luo Yunhai. Though they could muster no complaints as they gazed into Dugu Zhantian's steel look. Zhuo Fan looked at the weapon and shook his head, a man of honor does not take another's prized possession. Although I am anything but, I know how much Marshall cares for it and so I must refuse. What can a dead man do with treasures? Zhuo Fan, take it or I'll have a bitter death. Dugu Zhantian lifted the weapon and spoke with a resounding tone. Zhuo Fan resigned and nodded. Asked by Marshall with so much fervor, refusing will be downright immoral. But the old coot's respect isn't the issue here, it's how to use the tigers later. Refusing meant earning the 4 tigers' ire. Zhuo Fan shouldered the blade and struck the image of a mighty general. Dugu Zhantian smiled as all power left him, slumping in Luo Yunhai's arms. Marshall! Everyone cried tears of sorrow. Dugu Zhantian looked at all his sons with ardent love. No, not Marshall, I wish to hear, Godfather. Godfather! The 5 shouted. Dugu Zhantian's mouth slumped as he let out one last hoarse grunt. Godfather! The 5's tears flowed without stopping as they called out, never to wake up the scattered soul of the old man. His face was not the face of agony, but that of peace and tranquility. The commanding tent resounded with the sobbing of Dugu Zhantian's 5 godsons, filling the whole Lone Goose Gorge. The soldiers sensed the deep sorrow it carried. Gu Santong felt it too, his eyes getting red, his nose stuffy. He clutched at Zhuo Fan as he sobbed in his arms. Zhuo Fan watched it all with a silent lament. Dugu Zhantian, a god of war, gave his life for his country and died at its whims. What a poor man, worthy of all respect. A true misfortune that the world changed as it did and made him to be discarded. The mourning went on for 4 hours and the 5 carried Dugu Zhantian's body before the gathered army. The military order said not to leave one's post, but the chaos here left them uneasy. They came to find the old marshal, pale and carried out. Their eyes grew heavy and moist, but no tears fell. A man didn't cry over nothing, while a soldier wouldn't, even if bleeding. It was one of the marshal's teachings. Dugu Feng watched these soldiers bear the pain and spoke hoarsely, "Soldiers of the Dugu army, something devastating happened today. The emperor betrayed us and our dear marshal fell at Shadow Captain's sneak attack at the emperor's orders. Marshal!" The army fell to one knee, roaring their anguish, but nothing could stem the bursting rage. But how the Dugu army has always been candid, this matter can only be left to the new marshal. Dugu Feng shouted. New? Zhuo Fan was perplexed. Dugu Zhantian just died and there's already a new marshal. Dugu Zhantian must have settled this since long ago. That's why the 4 tigers of Tianyu came to be. That's for the best, for the godsons to take revenge for their father. Zhuo Fan figured it out in his infinite wisdom. The Dugu army looked around before finally settling on Zhuo Fan. More like, the blade he carried. Dugu Feng and his brothers looked behind and shouted, "Our second matter is to greet our new marshal, Zhuo Fan." Greetings, Marshal Zhuo. The godsons were the first to bow, followed by the soldiers. Zhuo Fan froze with a goony look. Did I miss something here? How did I become the new marshal? Though the sight of everyone bowing, even Luo Yunhai, woke him up to reality. Why though? Luo Yunhai smiled. Marshal, Godfather had a rule. Whoever he gives the dragon-slaying crescent blade, shall be the new marshal of Dugu army. Everyone here knows this. He entrusted it to you on his deathbed and that makes you our marshal. The million-strong Dugu army shall henceforth obey Marshal's orders. We await Marshal's commands. The army's roar shook the heavens. Zhuo Fan was dazed, then his heart bloomed with joy. He was looking for an excuse to get Dugu army on his side, but here it was, under his complete control. There was no freer lunch out there. Zhuo Fan lifted his weapon and roared, "His Majesty is misinformed," and killed his loyal official as a consequence. I, Zhuo Fan, take the seat of Marshal of the Dugu army, to drive out the savage Chuanrong and exact heaven's will. We shall march north and cleanse our Lord's court, bringing light to Tianyu. Charge out of Lone Goose Gorge. March for Windgaze City to prepare. We will split in 4 directions and get revenge for the old marshal. Revenge. Revenge! Revenge! The soldiers brandished their weapons with an unquenching thirst for revenge. Shadow King had just escaped the gorge when he spat blood. God damn that Zhuo Fan. He only keeps getting stronger. As a spirit puppet, I have no advantage over him. In fact, I'm weaker. How in the hell does he come up with so many soul martial arts? God friggin' damn it. Shadow King fled with a wounded body, cursing all the while. Stop! Thousands of Chuanrong had come to meet him, with Slaughter Wolf in the lead. Chapter 476, An Even Worse Opponent. Chapter 476, An Even Worse Opponent. Oh, it's you. Slaughter Wolf had a wide grin. You were that black smoke just now. I know from fighting you. Men, form up and take him in. Thousands of soldiers gathered around in formation, their fused yuan qi and bloodlust reaching the clouds. By commander's orders, nobody is to go in or out. Your head is mine. Slaughter Wolf whistled his halberd through the air. Shadow King was stunned. He was injured and was now facing a formation. The ending was obvious to anyone. He opted to drop all facade and took out the golden badge. Wait, I am His Majesty's envoy, here to help Commander. Take me to him. His Majesty. Which one? Slaughter Wolf barked. Shadow King hardened. Tianyu's. Slaughter Wolf sized him up and nodded. He rested the halberd still losing killing intent on his shoulder. Come, we're going to see the commander. But don't you try anything. Slaughter Wolf shifted the halberd and its cold and sharp blade froze Shadow King's blood. If not for Zhuo Fan's strike, do you think I'd stand for your puny flare? Despite all that, he knew he was the weaker one here and had to bend a knee following Slaughter Wolf. Entering Chuanrong's commanding tent, he cupped his hands. Commander Tuoba, I am Emperor Yuan's Shadow King, captain of the Shadow Guards. I heard about you trapping Dugu Zhantian for so long without resolution and came to your aid. Shadow King took out the golden badge. Slaughter Wolf presented it to Tuoba Taizhan. Tuoba Taizhan held it in his hand and waved the soldiers away. It is genuine, but this is the last battle between Dugu and I. I didn't ask for help either. Lord's kindness is appreciated, but you should return. Not at all. Shadow King shook his head in disdain. Commander Tuoba, this isn't about rivalry, but a trade between nations. Sir has many other tasks besides dealing with the Dugu army. But it no longer matters as I have provided my help already. You just need to send your men into the gorge and victory is yours. What? Tuoba Tieshan's heart thumped with unease. What do you mean by that? What did you do? Ha ha ha, oh, nothing. Shadow King stuck out his chin. I just saw Dugu Zhantian. Using His Majesty's envoy as a cover, the old man never saw it coming. I stuck him with the soul-rotting needle and by now he should be dead. This is your best chance. Without their leader, the Dugu army is ripe for the taking. Commander only has to march in. Shut your yap. Tuoba Taizhan exploded, grabbing his collar. I have gone to war countless times with Dugu Zhantian. This time I might have the advantage, and was somewhat honorless, but at least it was a fair fight. But you and your men have fouled our last duel, now ruined by rotten people like you. Old Dugu isn't the only one enraged, I am as well. The only reason you're still standing is because of that Tianyu envoy crap. Or I would have killed you as a tribute to Dugu Zhantian. Tuoba Taizhan roared and all the other generals held hatred for the Shadow King. From anger and sadness. The undefeated Dugu army wasn't just an enemy but a respected opponent. It found its end not by Chuanrong's blade, but was ruined by its own nation. As soldiers, these men felt the injustice and malcontent the Dugu army was subjected to. Shadow King couldn't give a damn, sporting a twisted smile. Commander Tuoba, soldiers have a duty to carry. You must go in there, lead your men and kill them all for the good of our nations. That's your duty. Tuoba Taizhan squinted. Soldiers have their mission, but also army spirit. Dugu Zhantian was an honorable adversary. As he passed away on this day, I will enter 3 days of mourning. Then we'll attack. You. Tuoba Taizhan glared with fury, as did the 5 wolves. Spending even a second around such a foul and treacherous filth was a disgrace to the Chuanrong army. Report. A soldier burst in. Commander, the Dugu army is at the gorge entrance, ready to attack. What? Tuoba Taizhan and Shadow King cried out at once. Dugu Zhantian had just died, and instead of the army mourning him, they were ready to attack. Tuoba Taizhan went out with his 5 wolves and Shadow King. From the thick mist of the gorge came out rows of soldiers. How were they able to break free with the entrance surrounded by the beast army? Thump. Dugu army's formation was impeccable, each step drumming the earth, intimidating the Chuanrong. The 4 tigers were in the lead, carrying a simple makeshift stretcher holding Dugu Zhantian. Tuoba Taizhan felt pain and sorrow. And so a god of war fell, a hero of his generation, to cruel and insidious means. Luo Yunhai held the flag of Dugu army as he led the procession, struck with sorrow still, but of firm discipline. Go back. Tuoba Taizhan spoke. Brother Zhantian fell from misfortune and needs his rights. I will give you 3 days to mourn, then we will settle this. Tuoba Tieshan's heart grew heavier, but he had to carry out his orders, to wipe this hardened army from these lands. Shadow King still had that sour look, snorting. Ha ha ha, Commander Tauba, I take it. We appreciate your generosity. But the funeral of Marshal Dugu is too important. We wish to take his body back and give him a proper burial. It is what a god of war should receive by right. Who said that? Tuoba Taizhan shouted. Zhuo Fan walked out from the ranks as the glares of all Chuanrong soldiers rested on him. More like, on that blade. What's old Dugu's dragon-slaying crescent blade doing in your hand? Tuoba Taizhan cried. Zhuo Fan had his trademark evil smile. By Marshal Dugu's command, I am the new marshal of this army. There's no way that's true. Shadow King butted in. Zhuo Fan glanced over. Yes, I am now Marshal Zhuo. As for you, Shadow King, you won't have such an easy time sneaking up on me. Soaked in sweat, Shadow King tensed up and sighed. Dugu army had fallen into Zhuo Fan's pocket, the worst news so far. With a creepy snicker, Zhuo Fan taunted, Commander Tuoba, your future rival is me. Do be careful. Cocky prick, the only one I ever had respect for was old Dugu. What can a brat do to me? Tuoba Taizhan snorted. Slaughter Wolf stepped out, you'll have to go through me first. Shadow King shook his head and sighed. The Chuanrong had just come to Tianyu and knew nothing. Now they take this uncanny hellish schemer as nothing but a boy. It's over, all over. They're facing an even worse existence than the likes of Dugu Zhantian, yet patronizing him instead. Shadow King grieved. He could practically see the end. Zhuo Fan's grin almost split his face, his eyes dancing in joy. He signaled and Gu Santong came over as he said, Commander Tuoba, there's no rush to see if I can match you. The question is, though, if you can match me. Tuoba Taizhan shuddered. Arrogant little snot. Chapter 477, concluded. Chapter 477, concluded. Elite Coder. Zhuo Fan and Gu Santong smiled. While the first let out an azure flame on his forehead, the latter had an eerie reddish glow. The 2 auras released a wave of energy, blending in the air and smashing the beast army formation apart. Roar. The beasts wailed in agony, rampaging all over the place. Chuanrong soldiers made signs to get them under control, an exercise in futility. Tuoba Taizhan and the wolves were startled. Zhuo Fan grinned, his eyes taking on a savage glint as he signaled, take Marshal's body. We're charging through. Form, march. Dugu Feng shouted. The Dugu army roared back, executing the order. Tuoba Taizhan had no way to block them, not when his army had the spiritual beasts at its core who were running amok. His army just got sacked to 1/10 of its power. What just happened? He watched the Dugu army stroll right through them, powerless and dumbstruck to do anything. Not like he could. Shadow King came to his side, pointing at the two in front. Commander, they're to blame. Kill them and your beasts will calm down. Tuoba Taizhan exclaimed. Dugu army was out of the encirclement amongst the chaos while Zhuo Fan sported the same nasty and condescending grin all his victims were familiar with. A taunt, a goddamn taunt. Tuoba Taizhan found the new marshal's skills queer. He could see why Dugu Zhantian would entrust his army to this nobody. But Zhuo Fan's style lit a raging fire under him like no one else could. Why you rotten squib, not even Dugu Zhantian took such a stance with me, yet you dare to do so. Slaughter Wolf, take your men and grab those two. Tuoba Taizhan shouted. Slaughter Wolf bowed, yes, sir. His division was the only one battle ready. Slaughter Wolf took his hundreds of thousand men at Zhuo Fan and Gu Santong. The soldiers in white looked like Azuras, fusing their yuan qi and bloodlust. Slaughter Wolf led the charge, flicking his mighty halberd and shuddering the air around. Zhuo Fan looked surprised. It was his first time meeting a formation. Slaughter Wolf alone meant nothing to him or Gu Santong, just a pinch and he'd be gone. Yet with the men behind him combining their yuan qi, they released an even greater pressure than Huangpu Tianyuan's 9 dragons diamond body could. Facing such a flood alone, he'd be torn to pieces. While Gu Santong laughed, having the benefit of a tough sacred beast body, great timing. Let me have a shot. Hold on, young Sanzi, you might not be able to handle this either. Zhuo Fan held his shoulder. Besides, battlefield, by definition, means a group battle, a battle of brains not brawn. The more glaring a formation's strength is, the more devastating its weakness, its mobility. Ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan's right eye flashed golden, divine eye of the void, shift. Whoosh. Zhuo Fan and Gu Santong were gone. Slaughter Wolf's power surge hit nothing. Boom. The only victim here was a hill in the distance, now sporting a huge gap in it. Slaughter Wolf rested his halberd and looked around puzzled. Tuoba Taizhan and the other wardens were just as speechless. Whoosh. A sharp sound came and Tuoba Taizhan felt a chill on his neck and froze in place. The same thing happened to the wolves, looking back stiffly. Zhuo Fan and Gu Santong had popped up in their sights, holding the commander's neck at Dugu Zhantian's blade point. Commander. The wolves panicked. When did he get behind them? Why didn't they sense it? And, more importantly, how did he do that? Shadow King was the only one here aware of Zhuo Fan's intimacy-violating fancy trick. First you look down on your enemy and are now blindsided by having your head held hostage. How are you going to fight? Don't move a muscle, Zhuo Fan threatened and the wolves stood still. Zhuo Fan grinned to everyone there before turning to his hostage, Commander Taoba, I have you right where I want you. Your fate is in my hands. Tell me though, is this new marshal worthy of your undivided attention? Tuoba Taizhan gasped, the young surpass the old. I have been undefeated all my life yet fell in your hand at our first clash. Dugu Zhantian will find rest knowing the Dugu army is in good hands. He, I'm touched. I've heard much of Commander Taoba and Marshal Dugu being gods of war of this age and looked forward to seeing you for myself. But how you fell for it so easily, you're just not up to scratch. You're no match of mine. Say that again. Tuoba Taizhan roared. The wolf wardens bit back, cocky punk, a soldier would choose death before dishonor. Is this how Dugu Zhantian train you? Ha ha ha, first things first, I was never trained under Dugu Zhantian. He once wanted me to work together but we got stuck on opposite sides. If not for this untimely event, lacking capable leadership, I wouldn't have accepted it either. And secondly, I'm stating facts. Zhuo Fan continued with a wide smile, Shadow King here knows me best. If Commander Tauba had been some great enemy of mine, his head would have long been flying. Ha ha ha, in appreciation for your respect for our dear Marshal Dugu, I shall do the same. See ya. Zhuo Fan and Gu Santong were gone again, appearing a mile out. Tuoba Taizhan was crestfallen, even if free. He'd been looked down upon, considered not a threat. The only reason he was still living too. And it left him empty inside. Die, kid. Slaughter Wolf charged at him with his men. No one had ever toyed with him in his long years of service. His ego was more than a little bruised. Zhuo Fan had no time to entertain him. Finding Dugu army in the distance, he signaled Gu Santong. Soaring fist, splitting heaven. The cute fist pounded the air and the earth churned like a raging sea. Slaughter Wolf was overwhelmed by what a mere kid could do. Just like a battle formation. He set up his formation just in time so he could bear through the attack. When everything was quiet, all they could hear was Zhuo Fan's egotistical voice, I am needed elsewhere, for military formalities. We shall meet again, on the field of battle. You're free to chase, if you find that head of yours too heavy for your shoulders. Why that cocky, brash, outrageous prick? It was the thought on everyone's mind. Shadow King, who the hell was that? Tuoba Taizhan turned a hard gaze at the black figure, a raging storm battling in his heart. The passing of Dugu Zhantian brought unbearable loneliness to a military master such as him, but the arrival of Zhuo Fan showed him a new opponent. Shadow King sighed, Zhuo Fan, the newest upstart in Tianyu and the steward of the Wind-Gaze City's Luo clan, the 8th noble house. Cunning, ruthless, twisted, outrageously strong, all of these make him the worst opponent in Tianyu. His Majesty sent me here to deal with the Dugu army so that you'll next focus on that kid. Zhuo Fan. Tuoba Tieshan's eyes glinted, this is an opponent I shall fight. Chapter 478, Ethereal Stage. Chapter 478, Ethereal Stage. 2 months later Zhuo Fan and the 600,000 troops had reached Wind-Gaze City with no interruptions from Chuanrong. Safe to say, the threat of the mighty duo had driven fear into them. Dugu Feng had issued jades for the other legions of the Dugu army, but none answered. From being under the imperial family's watch no doubt. The 4 tigers of Tianyu sighed. No matter how much they thought about it, never once did they consider their own ruler to be the one wanting their deaths. Or they'd taken the whole 3 million men with them and would have avoided such heavy losses. The guest houses in Wind-Gaze City watched Zhuo Fan lead Dugu army over with slack jaws. That's Tianyu's mightiest military. What's it doing with that kid? He's really something to pull it off. There's nothing in this world he can't do. The House Lord sighed. With Dugu army tucked in his base, Zhuo Fan convened with the tigers and other lords. As the imperial family and Chuanrong were rubbing elbows, and Zhuo Fan had long seen it coming, it was time for the next step in his master plan. This is how it stands. Marshal Dugu was assassinated, the imperial family colluded with the Chuanrong army, and now it's planning to root us all out. In the hall, everyone sat at a round table. Zhuo Fan watched them all with a grave look. We have 2 options before us. Scatter from Tianyu's chaos and avoid war, or meet them with everything we have and win the world for ourselves. Bam! Pavilion Lord Long slammed the table. The imperial family has no shame, cohorting with outsiders and killing their loyal official. It has no right to sit on the throne. We fight. You can think what you want, but Veiled Dragon Pavilion shall go all out. Long Yifi spoke with valor and might, earning the nods of many. Zhuo Fan snickered inside. They're so simple. In the face of absolute uncertainty, they'd have bolted by now. But with Dugu army around, they've found their courage in believing they will get their homes back. To these houses with a 1,000-year-long foundation in Tianyu, having all of it ruined was the greatest pain. With Luo clan as the vanguard, they were in support, and with the hope of rebuilding as a done deal, they were all in. It fell in line with Zhuo Fan's intentions. They just had to do what he wanted, and Zhuo Fan's plans to have the world were nigh. The Chuanrong are too many, and they even have imperial family's experts to back them. Grandmother frowned. To win this, we must expand our power, and fast. Couldn't be easier. Xia Xiaofeng's eyes glinted. Like Brother Yaifi said, the imperial family has brought the enemy into our lands and has lost all right to watch over Tianyu. All we need is to spread the word, and we'll have everyone on our side. The rebellion's growth will settle by itself. Good idea. The other two house lords clapped. Leng Wuchang next to Zhuo Fan mocked, naive. Why would anyone believe you, who stands against the emperor? He would just have to declare it was you calling in the Chuanrong, and the rebellion would turn into a just pursuit to save the ruler. The one to suffer will be us. Leng Wuchang, what's with that attitude? The imperial family cast out Marshal Dugu, set up his death, and every soldier of Dugu army bore witness too. It can't get any clearer than that. Xia Xiaofeng puffed his chest. Leng Wuchang said, aren't they also traitors? Although more in number, the imperial family has the final word. Who'd the clans believe, the emperor or us, the traitors? The house lords lapsed into silence. Zhuo Fan smiled. Sir Leng is right. Recall our battle with Regent Estate, the setting the imperial family created for both of us to be in dire straits, and let him take the spoils. To the point that the Regent Estate announced they'd quell us down, whether right or wrong. Yet the emperor was silent when I issued my own challenge, of obscured facts and a chaotic nation, leading to an even more confused populace. It's obvious that the imperial family has the people's opinion. This time's no different. The imperial family can call us what it wants, and they'd swallow it right up. No matter what call or declaration we make to expand our forces, he'll just crush it with one lousy paper. And not just foil our plans, but make us the public enemy. The men's hearts sank, and the gravity of it all set in. Without a righteous cause, it would be impossible to beat the imperial family with outside help. Dugu Feng was furious. Is there no way to give Godfather justice? Of course there is, though not exactly justice. Just take a chunk out of His Majesty. Zhuo Fan smiled. We cannot use the rebellion to amass power, but we can use our undying loyalty. That's ludicrous. You're telling us we should help that senile emperor instead of fighting him? Dugu Hua roared. Marshal had been loyal, but not even he would permit for the emperor to sell his country. He would never stand by such an emperor. Zhuo Fan laughed. General Hua, you misunderstand. Ever wondered why I spared Tuoba Taizhan? Yeah, why? You never told me. You had that bastard right where you wanted, so why didn't you get revenge for the old marshal? Dugu Hua blustered. Zhuo Fan stated, killing him would leave the Chuanrong headless, and they will fall into obscurity from everyone's sights. By letting him live though, he will look into me and go against the emperor's plan to foil me, leading to an even more chaotic Tianyu and exposing itself in the long run. Clap. Leng Wuchang admired. Just like Steward Zhuo, he has a contingency ready. Impressive and marvelous. By using loyalty as an excuse, we'll force the emperor to swallow this bitter pill. Everyone was dumbstruck by what they were hearing. One's an old fox and the other a kid, though just as shifty. Just what are they planning? Sir Leng knows me well. Zhuo Fan smiled. Regardless of the reason we use to get more support, the imperial family will make a statement, unless of course we do it in his name. Everyone lit up, with grandmother laughing. The imperial family can never admit to their deal with Chuanrong. Steward Zhuo, the emperor will suffer for it. Ha ha ha, the emperor is sure to have a plan in place for when the Chuanrong came to light. At worst, he'll pin it on Zhuge Changfeng. But never in his wildest dreams will he guess we'll use it to bolster our ranks for the war with him. He's bound to have one funny look, ha ha ha. The others laughed with him, further amazed by Zhuo Fan's cunningness. Leng Wuchang spoke with concern. Steward Zhua, that settles our numbers issue, but what about experts? With men that can rob lives for miles away, what good would numbers do? What's there to worry about when we have invincible scamp Gu Santong? Long Yifi laughed, taking young Sanzi for his man. Leng Wuchang shook his head. In Tianyu, Gu Santong is invincible, but there's also Chuanrong. I fear they've called for experts from their guardian sect, beast-taming sect, in the ethereal stage. Not to worry while I'm around. Bang! A booming voice entered the hall, followed by a stout and strong physique. Mad Dipper. He's back. And stronger. Congratulations, elderly, for reaching the ethereal stage. Zhuo Fan nodded. Li Jingtian had nothing but endless gratitude for him. Chapter 479, Posterity Army. Chapter 479, Posterity Army. I can't thank Steward Zhuo enough for saving me. I had let emotions get the best of me. Li Jingtian kneeled. The shock was palpable. The strong and mighty Li Jingtian had utmost respect for Zhuo Fan but never as far as kneeling. Only a great favor could drive such power to feel like words failing and only gestures fully showing his gratitude. As for how big a favor, none here was the wiser. Zhuo Fan smiled, helping him up. Elderly, don't be so distant. We're on the same side. I will never forget what Steward Zhuo has done for me. Without you, I wouldn't even have my cultivation. Li Jingtian shone with admiration. It all became clear. Anyone would kneel when being saved from the pit of despair and given the chance to achieve what everyone in Tianyu sought but never grasped, ethereal stage. Leng Wuchang muttered, with elderly in ethereal stage, no enemy expert will be a match for him. Don't forget us. Qiu Yanhai and Shui Qingjian beamed as they walked inside with majestic power. All were shaking to the core and gasped. The two were the hardest to deal with in Tianyu, yet now they were just a step away from reaching ethereal too. Their combined fire and water art had to wield the true power of an ethereal stage expert. Holy hell, Luo clan's experts grow too fast. Just a few years and it has already raised 3 ethereal stage experts. This is freaky, outrageous even. Just what little tricks did Zhuo Fan use? They were merely unique experts before he came around. Besides confusion, what predominated was envy and admiration. Another figure walked in to unravel the mystery. Vicious Pill King walked cocksure to Zhuo Fan and bowed. Steward Zhuo, allowing me to refine the 10th grade heaven-reaching pill, has given me time to familiarize myself with it. It will take some time, but I promise to give every expert of our house one of the pill in a year and a half, to improve their meridians. This will give our radiant stage elders the prospects of reaching ethereal stage. You didn't tell me the pill would be so incredible. The instant elderly and the couple took it, they broke through. 10th grade. The crowd cried, eyes popping and looking at Zhuo Fan with slack jaws. The Punk Yen Song is a 10th grade alchemist now. More importantly, where did he get those high-quality ingredients to make such a pill? We have a 1,000-year-old legacy behind us, but even we don't have a 10th grade ingredient. So that's why. All experts come into the Luo clan's fold because of the lavish promises. The house lords wallowed in jealousy, though the looks Zhuo Fan got were those of desire and beseechment. You know, Steward Zhuo, we're, after all, your old allies. With war at our doorsteps, we ought to raise our strength too. Long Yifi rubbed his hands. Zhuo Fan deadpanned, Pavilion Lord Long, I've put friendship first, always. What's mine is yours. But as you've very well put it, Pavilion Lord Long, war is upon us. As the Luo clan is leading this group, it is only fitting that I shield your young from spilling needless blood. I am not the one to sell out his friends. These pills will be given to Luo clan's elders first, to give you much needed cover. When the war is over, everyone will be free to partake. This meant Zhuo Fan was delaying it. Though not without dangling some hope to rein them. Those pills were just that intoxicating, giving Zhuo Fan the chance to lead them by the nose. He, you want it? March forward. Win and you'll have it. Grinning inside at how easily he played them. While everyone was thinking of the world, Zhuo Fan was planning for Luo clan's granite foundation. But leaving two ethereal stage experts aside, Leng Wuchang frowned. Zhuo Fan dismissed his worries. Sir Leng, it's all taken care of. Leng Wuchang nodded. He hadn't been around Zhuo Fan since just yesterday. When it came to schemes, he would only point things out while leaving the planning to Zhuo Fan. In short, his skills were shelved in Luo clan. He was in no rush, knowing Zhuo Fan would be gone soon. And who would the Luo clan turn to next? His glorious moment would soon arrive, no doubt about it. With the toughest points smoothened out, Zhuo Fan issued the order for drafting. He had the houses go to their domains and use the excuse of Chuanrong's invasion to recruit in the name of the emperor. Being respected most in their own turf and with the name of the emperor behind them, the army ought to reach millions of heads. While the houses were under a lot of pressure, from imperial family and Chuanrong coalition in front and Zhuo Fan's dangling pills behind. It worked as an incentive and inevitable danger, boosting their morale. They spread out fast as lightning, drafting, raking merits and working double hard. With Zhuo Fan's rotten style, maybe he'd put a merit system in place for pill rewarding. So when Zhuo Fan adjourned the meeting, they were gone in a flash. The four tigers of Tianyu frowned, with Dugu Feng speaking out, "Marshal, they're all just rabble. Against the veteran Chuanrong army, they will lose." "I know." Zhuo Fan smiled. The art of war has a saying, the right time, right place and right people. To prevail against Chuanrong, we need to take these three conditions into account. There's no better place to fight than our doorstep, with all the arrangements I've made. All that's left is to lure them. Tuoba Taizhan is no fool, he won't fall for an obvious trap. Which leaves making him come to us, ha ha ha. Another saying is, the highest form of generalship is to thwart the enemy's plans, to strike at their morale. I had the houses drafting not to use the rabble, but to force the emperor and Chuanrong into a rushed war, here. Then we'll fight to our heart's content. They'll come, but none shall leave. The tigers gasped, with Dugu Lin smiling, "Now I see why Godfather made you the marshal. You are a true commander, devising plans and controlling the scene from miles away." In Godfather's words, commanders are yin and yang. Yang commander wins one step at a time while the yin commander devises schemes. He and Tuoba Taizhan were yang, always fighting on open front. While with a yin commander at the helm, there's another feeling to it. "General Lin, I get that you are calling me cunning, but are you praising or criticizing?" Zhuo Fan smiled. They all laughed. The new marshal is surely yin enough, but he knows his way around an army. "Yunhai, as the clan head you will be in front of your clansmen. When you want something, you have to strive for it and shake the masses. Since your time in Dugu army was short and you have been away from it for so long, not to mention you won't be leading your fellow soldiers but Luo clan's posterity, it'll be hard to win. That being said, I have a team ready for you, come." Zhuo Fan watched Luo Yunhai with a brilliant smile. Luo Yunhai was stunned but followed with the tigers. Only the elders got it, snickering to themselves. They arrived at the bunker beneath Blackwind Mountain. Luo Yunhai found it the same as always. Zhuo Fan grinned, growing for months beneath the earth, with the energy of the earth absorbed, "It is time to come out. Why are you still hiding? Come meet the clan head." Boom. The huge rumble revealed a shaking ground as the earth swelled in places, soon revealing yellow hands. The bodies crawled out of the earth, presenting themselves to the stunned tigers. How are they people? With their sunken faces and bodies all shriveled up, they're practically zombies. Not just a few, but 100,000 of them. And what's with that ridiculous aura? 5,000 radiant stage experts, 30,000 in the profound heaven stage, and the rest are friggin' bone-tempering experts. Even without a formation, these numbers were shocking. Greetings clan head, Steward Zhua, elders. The army boomed. Luo Yunhai fell back in shock. Zhua Fan smiled, they are disciples of Luo clan that I've refined into war puppets, with steel bodies and capability of flight. Use this time to train them in formations. They will defeat the Chuanrong and give you all the credit. The tigers felt a chill. Even without military training, this creepy army could hold millions of soldiers at bay. Oh God, this is clearly aimed at taking over the world. Steward Zhua is the best steward yet, paving the way for his master's glory. Chapter 480, An Emperor and His Minister. Chapter 480, An Emperor and His Minister. Drip. In the gloomy jail, the morning dew fell slowly in a rhythm known only to itself. A grizzled old man, shackled with fifth-grade spiritual weapons, closed his eyes and hummed a tune, blending with the fall of water, not like any prisoner should act. Clang! The jail door creaked open and the old man froze, looking at his visitor. A man in a golden gown walked in. Ha ha ha, my dear Prime Minister Zhuge, how do you like your new home? The emperor put on a winning smile. Zhuge Changfeng chuckled, carefree, thank you, your majesty, for your consideration. I have been very well. There's no court politics to mind, no insidious plot in the shadows, letting me find a peace long forgotten. Ha ha ha, you failed at every corner yet still find amusement in everything. I am impressed by your strong mind. The emperor mocked. Zhuge Changfeng shook his head, a loss is a loss and no amount of anguish will change that. It's better to enjoy the newfound peace. Oh, it can't be that your majesty has come to take it away from me, no? Not at all. Although your death is necessary so as not to leave such a dangerous element to my son after my passing, and even though I will be the one to take your life, it won't be now. We've been close for 100 years now, some might even call it friendship, understanding each other to a fault. Letting you die now will make me feel lonely. Friends? Ha ha ha. Zhuge Changfeng snickered, Your Majesty, is that what you call friendship, biting each other for decades? Friendship had been a delusion of mine in my younger days, but in time I knew your majesty is no friend. A ruler walks a solitary path, bereft of friends and filled with schemes. The emperor fell silent from solitude. Yes, the lands are more important than everything. I am the emperor of this nation, so how can I make friends with commoners? Even so, I once imagined this. In the times we worked together, I treated you as my confidant. Yet you still raised your hand at me. Zhuge Changfeng gazed at the black and damp jail roof. Do you recall Prime Minister Yang? I was only a small official then, but grew to my position by your majesty's grace. You said Prime Minister Yang was a vile man in control of the court. You asked me for my cooperation in getting rid of such a traitor, to take his place for the good of Tianyu. Yes, he was a man with a black heart, itching to revolt. The emperor said. Zhuge Changfeng shook his head. I used to think so too, and for that, I had him arrested through the evidence your majesty brought forward. But when I barged into his home with righteous might, he said to be wary of you and committed suicide. I was baffled, taking it as nothing but a traitor's poisonous vilification. But after the first 10 years of my tenure, with dedication and passion, the same thing happened. Your Majesty found another official and enticed him to strike me by appealing to his willingness to serve you. I just couldn't understand why. So I bore in silence, unmoving against any of your taunts and challenges, while also looking into Prime Minister Yang. I learned to my shock that he was the previous ruler's man, loyal and true, yet forced by your Majesty to revolt. His final words now made sense. A ruler's mind has no limits. A prime minister has power over everyone. But not even I can touch him without reason in fear of public outrage and the other officials' terror. I can only have him removed. The emperor said, but Prime Minister Zhuge is far wiser. I've thought of countless excuses over the years, yet nothing reached you, having a counter for every replacement. I knew then that Yun Xuanji's prediction was true. The head of 4 pillars is you. With your power, you intimidated the 7 houses, bringing balance outside and inside of the court. Zhuge Changfeng shook his head. Everything is still in your majesty's control, I see. Although I had a feeling, I figured as long as I took proper measures, I'd escape it. I never thought. Your Majesty, everyone calls me the greatest mind in Tianyu. But to me, your Majesty has no equal, far beyond my meager calculations. Prime Minister, don't be modest now. I'm but a senile old ruler. You brought the Chuanrong army into Tianyu without my notice. You had me cornered with them, and I had no choice but to secede 1/10 of our lands to make them withdraw. I shall have this shame for as long as I live. I have failed my people and my ancestors. The emperor sighed even as he smiled. Zhuge Changfeng shook his head. I see, the one who'll take the blame for selling his country is me in the end. Your Majesty's calculations run deep. Playing the century-old senile with such willpower has opened my eyes. Selling my country, one more crime to add to my never-ending list. It wouldn't matter even if I go down as the worst criminal in history. Though there is just one thing I would ask your Majesty, if you would be kind enough to enlighten me. Go ahead. The emperor urged. Zhuge Changfeng spoke. When I met the twin saints, they were just scholars. How did your Majesty place them in my sights? Ha ha ha, you'll have Yun Xuanji to thank for that. Grinning, the emperor spoke full of himself, just as how you and Dugu Zhantian came to office by high priest's recommendation. Even before he declared it to the public, he had told me you two will emerge, becoming Tianyu's blessing. But I had him delay his announcement to first see your characters. It's how I found Dugu Zhantian to be a military man, yet bogged down by honor and easy to control. And you, Zhuge Changfeng, foolish in your younger years yet had uncanny perception and a sharp wit. You're meant to be a shrewd old fox. For any eventuality, I had the ever-hiding twin saints fake their wounds for you to save them and remain as your trusted aides. To not raise your suspicion, each time you took an exam I had the proctor fail you even though you didn't. You were barred entry into court for 3 years, stopping you from finding anything pointing to the heaven and earth twin saints as my aides were sent to watch over you. And when you lost hope, I had Yun Xuanji recommend you. With everything unraveled, Zhuge Changfeng took a deep breath and shook his head. I had been dancing to your Majesty's tune from the start. Fighting you for so many years was an arrogance of mine. Prime Minister, you've done quite well, or my plan of rooting out all powers from Tianyu wouldn't have gone so smoothly. Ha ha ha, the emperor felt the world was his oyster. A man came in to report, Your Majesty, there's an urgent report. Zhuge Changfeng raised an eyebrow. Why your hell valleys you Ming? I saw you by the second prince's side. How? Prime Minister Zhuge, I don't see the harm in telling you. Second prince's rebellion was incited by me. A father knows his son's best, they say. With his rash behavior, just a nudge was enough to spur him on. The emperor taunted, the next prime minister is also decided, Yu Ming. I am humbled by your Majesty's grace. Yu Ming bowed on cue. Zhuge Changfeng sighed, Your Majesty used his rebellion to force my hand. You used your own son, made him a rebel to the throne, just to get to me. Your Majesty's mind truly is boundless. They say no parent is cruel to his children, but you, Your Majesty, are by far the worst. Isn't it all your fault for being so cautious? I had everyone leave my side yet you still didn't act. The only chance I have to get rid of you is if you strike first. The emperor snorted at his jab. Yu Ming presented a jade slip. Zhuge Changfeng said, Your Majesty, I am now blinded, down here in the dark. May I ask that you share information from the outside with this poor old official? The emperor eyed him and snorted, You're in prison for life, so it won't change a thing. Fine, Yu Ming, present the report to me and Prime Minister Zhuge's ears. What good news is it, I wonder? Must be Dugu army's demise, ha ha ha. The emperor cackled as Zhuge Changfeng sat there peacefully, though his ears were twitching. Yu Ming looked into the jade and widened his eyes, showing hesitation. Your Majesty, Luo clan observed how the Quanrong army has invaded Tianyu's every corner and being loyal to the crown, is drafting men to purge the outsiders. They are now close to 1 million. What? The emperor choked, coughing. Zhuge Changfeng laughed, that's the Zhuo fan I know. Well done. Your Majesty, I can say for sure you were asking for it. The emperor glared. Zhuo fan, this rotten upstart, has the cheek to play with me? Absurd. Chapter 481, Urgent Dispatch. Chapter 481, Urgent Dispatch. Give me that. The emperor read the jade himself before frowning, this is too fast. So many men in just a few days. There's no way Luo clan's name is enough to pull it off. A taunting smile crossed Zhuge Changfeng's face. Your Majesty, it seems you forget about Zhuo fan's ingenious tricks during the last war, welcoming the other house's experts. With their deep roots, even when homeless, their names would live on in their lands. They just had to show themselves and their vassals would flock over in droves. They must think the war is over and are now grasping the winning leg. I dare say 1 million is on the low side, ha ha ha. The mockery grated the emperor's ears, with him lashing out, that mongrel came up with this move to put me on the spot. After inciting so many clashes between him and Regent Estate, I figured he'd be the weakest even if a winner. But he has gone beyond any forecast, becoming the biggest threat, taking the whole of Tianyu to war with me. The emperor's teeth grinding echoed out and Zhuge Changfeng sighed, oh, Your Majesty, it is both of our mistakes. We each wanted to use Zhuo fan and throw Tianyu in even more chaos for our own benefit. I, for the chance at rebellion and Your Majesty, to cleanse it of all other factions. But at the end of it all, I fell for Your Majesty's scheme and now the kid has gotten all those factions Your Majesty wanted gone. Ha ha ha, a pawn turning into a player, taking advantage of others. Your Majesty, he just cooked your goose. Shut your yap. The emperor bit back in anger, I am the son of heaven. I cannot, will not, lose, cough. After a harsh coughing fit, he looked to see the handkerchief stained in blood. The emperor hid it in his chest and stormed out, Zhuge Changfeng, watch closely. The final winner shall be me. Zhuo fan will die beyond any shadow of a doubt. Ha ha ha, show me, just whose hands will these lands fall into? Zhuge Changfeng replied. Yu Ming smiled and went after the emperor. The jail had regained tranquility, with water dripping to Zhuge Changfeng's humming. Thump. The emperor burst into the imperial study and sat down, guard. Yes, Your Majesty. Someone was already bowing. Is Shadow King back yet? No, Your Majesty. At this critical juncture he isn't back. Just what is he doing? The emperor slapped the table. Report. A soldier fell to his knee, Your Majesty, Sir Shadow King requests an audience. Quanrong's high commander and his generals await outside the palace as well. Send them in. The emperor rushed. Shadow King brought with him the echelons of Quanrong army. Taobo Yener and Tuoba Lufeng heard of their father's arrival and were now together with him, along with the 8 wolf wardens and the imperial tutor. All of them were here before the emperor. Greetings, Your Majesty. Tuoba Taizhan hinted at a bow, while others offered a full one. The emperor smiled, Commander, your reputation precedes your name. Now that I see you, it doesn't do you justice, ha ha ha. The emperor went to the heart of things, Commander, how did it go at your end, is it done? Everyone looked hopefully at Tuoba Taizhan. It was about the fight between him and Dugu Zhantian. Everyone wished to know the result. Blushing, Tuoba Taizhan hesitated. Shadow King took charge with a sigh, Your Majesty, I have taken Dugu Zhantian down from the shadows. Oh. The emperor interjected and Shadow King continued, but Zhuo Fan showed up just then, becoming Dugu army's new marshal and took the struggling soldiers away. What? The emperor shouted, that punk took Dugu army? It's bad enough with his strength, but now he's even more of a pain. How is it that you didn't stop him? Or Dugu army at least? Shadow King sighed, Your Majesty is aware of his uncanny skills and I alone am not a match. But I don't know how, he even got Commander Tauba's beast army to cower. He even took Commander Tauba hostage. Ahehem. Tuoba Taizhan interjected. That might very well be the worst humiliation of his life. The children looked astonished. Their undefeated father lost to a boy. Tauba Liena was worried, Father, did he hurt you? Ha ha ha, he was only acting tough but could do nothing to me. Tuoba Taizhan shirked it off. Zhao Lahan glared at the other 5 wolves, Is this how you guard the commander, letting the enemy take our leader? What a disgrace. The wolves snorted, with Slaughter Wolf glumly saying, The brat has creepy skills. In that moment of chaos, you'd fare no better. But to a cocky man like you, it will fall on deaf ears, having not clashed with him. Who said I haven't? I and Jabi had him cornered 3-on-1. Yet Jabi ended up bedridden for a month. Ahehitiem. Jabi nudged Shah Lahan, though a little late. The 8 wolf wardens looked around and saw familiar looks. Ah, the kid got all our asses handed to us. Their mood hit rock bottom. Coming to Tianyu had given them the worst defeat of their careers. Tuoba Taizhan frowned, Your Majesty, just what on earth is he? How come we've never heard of someone with such skill? Father, allow me. I've been in Tianyu for months now and had him investigated. Tuoba Lufeng said, Zhuo Fan came from a no-name clan. He was born a servant and when the clan was on the brink of destruction, became its steward when all that was left of the clan was 2 children and a guard. From then on, he made deals with powerful figures, taking him 10 years to bring that clan from the brink of collapse to what we see today, leading the enemy faction. His Majesty even gave him Best Steward beneath heaven title as evidence of his remarkable skills in leading. He knows how to handle his men, taking the house's experts for himself. His allies have complete trust in him, bearing heavy responsibility. Yet even so, everyone respects and fears him. Enemies and friends alike have the same view. Cunning as a weasel, sadistic as a wolf, shifty as a snake and grand like a dragon. He may show off every chance he gets, but inside is an unscrupulous twisted mind waiting for the chance to pounce. Correct, the brat has become the biggest thorn in my side. The emperor admitted. Tuoba Taizhan said, I knew he was something, but never this much. I need to be even more cautious with him than with Dugu Zhantian. To that end, I asked Commander Tauba to march on Windgaze city. The emperor urged. Tuoba Taizhan jerked, but I only just got to the imperial capital. My army. The kid is just too deceitful. In the name of his lord, he is amassing power. I can't denounce him either, not when you've strutted into Tianyu for everyone to see. Any delay will have him at the helm of millions of soldiers. If the Empire's 3 guardian sects get wind of this, our deal will fall through. What? They all gasped at Zhuo Fan's quick reaction. To guarantee a favorable resolution of this war, I'll be sending my divine dragons and Shadow King. Alas, the enemy has its own share of capable experts, the emperor frowned. It's fine. Imperial Tutor spoke at last, 3 experts from the beast-taming sect have come as well. No matter how tough the enemy is, it will prove for naught. Chapter 482, Marching Army. Chapter 482, Marching Army. On the morrow, the clear dew glistening in the sunrise crumbled under the footsteps of a large procession, soldiers marching with discipline to a remote town at the borders. The bloodlust and warmongering blended into a chilly and choking atmosphere, snuffing out nature's tranquility. The predators on the prowl sensed the change and burrowed deeper into their caves, shivering out of fright. We, animals, don't have any prophetic devices, but we do have our sixth sense. We know today is a bad day to hunt. Fine, we'll just fast in our cribs. As their bellies expressed fierce disapproval, no animal dared to even peek outside, opting to go to bed hungry. Tuoba Lufeng gazed at the distant city. Lord Father, that is Windgaze City. It took us 2 months to meet our main army and travel our 3 million men at full speed. Tuoba Taizhan said, where are the masters Tianyu's Majesty sent to help us break the arrays? Have them inspect the situation. Understood. Tuoba Lufeng bowed. 10 men flew towards Windgaze City, profound heaven experts and 6th grade array masters. There was hardly any array in Tianyu that could stand after their passing. They were soon back with a report though, Commander, the lands are covered in 500 arrays. 200 3rd grade with plenty of 5th and 6th grade. It will take time and effort to unravel. I just knew it was Zhuo Fan's trick, forcing me to fight him here. Tuoba Taizhan sighed. Tuoba Liufeng's face fell at the implications. Zhuo Fan is vile and twisted, adhering to the art of war in choosing the right location, right time and right men. The drafting is not as important as forcing father to come here. We have to strike hard and fast. He holds down the city and has a terrain advantage. That's not all, Tuoba Taizhan sighed, we have the numerical advantage, but he can cower our beasts, thwarting our beast armies. On top of that he has arrays on his side. Numbers will do us no good here. But the outcome can go either way in this case. This Zhuo Fan has played on his strengths to the utmost and cut ours. I can even venture to say he'll have the battlefield under control from the start and string us along. Tuoba Lufeng was uneasy. Looking at the city, all he saw was a steel bastion. Zhuo Fan is horrifying. Father, what do we do? Let the array masters do their work for now and then we'll see his reaction. Tuoba Taizhan looked at those 10 men, break the arrays, hurry. Put on the spot, one of them bowed, Commander, there are 500 arrays there, with some special ones mixed in between. It will take years, decades. That's your problem. Military orders are paramount, go. Tuoba Taizhan barked. The men grew downcast. For God's sake, this amateur only knows how to bark orders. With so many arrays they'd soon be caught dead instead of breaking them, quite literally. To say nothing of someone coming out and taking their lives. Chuanrong, God of War, my foot. You know nothing of arrays. Since using force is out of the question, you stick us in. Good cover up. Where there's arrays, send in the breakers, is that it? The men cursed and cursed, but still obeyed. Whoosh. Arriving at the edge of Windgaze City, they got to work. Hoping to high heavens no one would come out to kill the poor saps. Yet was there ever an array owner who didn't know his stuff was being tampered with? In Luo Clan's hall, discussions of recruitment were ongoing when Zhuo Fan jerked and smiled. Steward Zhuo, what is it? Grandmother asked. Zhuo Fan shook his head. Just then, a Luo Clan disciple rushed in. Steward Zhuo, 10 old men are outside making signs. I can't make out any of it, but it seems to be cracking the arrays. Of course they are. You may go, it's fine. Just act as usual. Zhuo Fan waved. The man left while the house lords were panicking. Long Yifi said, does that mean Tuoba Taizhan is here? It's too fast. We're nowhere near ready. He, so what if it is fast? Zhuo Fan snickered, let's go for a walk, see the fogies hard at work. The others were puzzled, the enemies at the gates and you're in the mood for a stroll? Then they eased up. With the kid always playing cool, chilling means all is in the bag, so why worry? The men followed Zhuo Fan. They flew above the town and saw the 10 oldies shifting through gestures, faces red and cursing all the while. Jesus Christ, who the hell set this up? How is a second grade array so damn complicated? And what kind of style is this? I've never seen it before in my life. They must have some array grandmaster to pull such precise arrays. Nothing works at breaking it. Enough chatter and more elbow grease. The oldies grumbled at the task turned impossible, making no headway all this time. These grand 6th grade array masters balked before a 2nd grade array. It was anything but normal. Long Yifei's group nodded up above, with even more admiration for Zhuo Fan. Steward Zhuo's skills are uncanny, vexing those coots to death, ha ha ha, Long Yifei laughed. The others bobbed their heads. Zhuo Fan chuckled, I may be competent in arrays, but not enough to make a 2nd grade array have the power of a 6th. They can't break it because they don't understand it. Zhuo Fan yelled, trying to break a mere 2nd grade array with gestures. You're profound heaven experts for crying out loud, why not use force? Are you brain dead? Why didn't I think of that? The 10 men nodded and smiled above. They were curious to see their savior. Though Zhuo Fan's cold smile scared them witless. Zizi Zhuo Fan, he has come to kill us. One man wailed, his knees shaking from fear. Zhuo Fan waved, it's fine, keep up the good work. You have all the time in the world, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan chuckled, landing on the town gate's stairs. The house lords were stunned, following him. The most shocked were the fogies. One collected his meager courage, old friends, do we continue? Another nodded, and why not? With both sides giving us the go-ahead, we'll do just that. The others exclaimed. Yeah, it's rare enough to have both sides in agreement, so let's just do it. Not doing so might get us a quicker death. The 10 made signs again but soon opted for Zhuo Fan's idea, to force their way through the 2nd grade arrays. The house lords turned from them to Zhuo Fan, Steward Zhuo, what's this all about? I'm waiting. For what? The experts to show up. Zhuo Fan snickered, Tuoba Taizhan isn't charging because of the arrays. He had these 10 bags of bones take a crack at them first. Killing them is within right but shows nervousness. While sparing them raises the suspicion of using the empty city tactic. It's a classic war tactic, blending truth and lies. The odder my reactions the more confused he will be and less prone to act. But time waits for no one. The longer he waits the bigger our power in Tianyu grows. He will act, and with experts, in the fastest and hardest way. The House Lords thought, Steward Zhuo has been aiming for those experts from the start. I'm just dying to see what counter the Emperor has, now that he knows young Sanzi is with me. Zhuo Fan's eyes were a sucking abyss. Chapter 483, The Tiger, the Wolf and the Snake. Chapter 483, The Tiger, the Wolf and the Snake. Lord Father, just what on earth is Zhuo Fan thinking? Someone's cracking his defenses yet he just stands there to watch. He's looking down on us. Tuoba Lufeng pointed at the House Lords with an odd look. Tuoba Taizhan frowned, are those arrays real or not? Is he buying time? His actions are baffling and hard to make sense of. Lufeng, come with me to see the elders. Tuoba Taizhan spoke. Tuoba Lufeng cried, so soon? Aren't they our trump card? Speed is of the essence in war. Tuoba Taizhan walked and Tuoba Lufeng hurried after. The two came upon a tent when they heard a nasty voice, Liener, you have a wonderful and fine constitution. So young and yet so able in beast taming. 2 years under my tutelage and you'll surpass even me, he. I thank you, Elder Shi, for your kind words, but I can't bear to leave my family, Liener said with difficulty. Another voice cut her off. Commander Tauba will not stand in the way of Liener's brilliant future. Tuoba Taizhan was outraged, that coot is being fresh with my daughter. Tuoba Lufeng was just as annoyed. But they both bottled the rage as they entered. Commander, young master. The 8 wolf wardens bowed, though just as outraged. While above the main seat were 3 extra-wide chairs, occupied by bare-chested men showing their muscles. One man had silky black hair, with big eyebrows and big eyes. On his chest was a huge and ferocious tiger. The father and son bowed, elder Hu. On his right was a bearded elder with narrow eyes and knit brows, yet he let out an eerie green gaze, instilling fear. On his chest was a mangy wolf. Elder Lang. The 2 bowed again. The last one had a sinister face, with a handlebar mustache and vulgar eyes. His hand was caressing Taubel Yenner's soft hand as he showed a content look. On his chest was a viper with savage eyes. The father and son clenched their fists and bowed, Elder Shi. Ha ha ha, Commander Tauba. Elder Shi never drew his hand. Lienner couldn't take hers back even if she wanted to either. He was taking advantage of the commander's daughter in broad daylight. These 3 never cared much about him anyway. Imperial tutor saw Tuoba Taizhan on the brink of exploding. Brother Taizhan, have you come to ask the elders to step in? Yes. Tuoba Taizhan cupped his hands. Elders, please break the city's arrays and help my army enter Windgaze City. The 3 elders snorted. Elder Shi was still holding that oh-so-fine hand. Commander Tauba, I thought I told you, we are ethereal stage experts, not your soldiers. Breaking arrays is your job. We're only here to deal with any unforeseen expert that may crop up. The other elders nodded. Pretentious pricks, breaking the defense isn't your duty, but hitting on my little girl is? Tuoba Taizhan fumed. The 8 wolf wardens glowered with bloodlust. But the elders had no care in the world. Radiant stage experts could come and score at them and it'd still do nothing. Han Tianma mediated, elders, it involves Tianyu giving us 1/10 of its lands, rich in spirit mines, of interest to beast-taming sect. With the arrays in place, Commander Tauba's attacks will be for naught, and the more time passes the worse it will get, leading to defeat. When you return to the sect, it will be hard to explain it. Imperial tutor, is that a threat? Elder Hu glared. Han Tianma waved, I would never. It is only a conclusion of mine. The longer we take, the more likely it is for Tianyu's 3 guardian sects to hear of this. It will blow the easy credit elders will take into smoke and return empty-handed. Sigh, I just can't bear to see it. The 3 changed expressions at last. It was Elder Hu who nodded, Imperial tutor, you have a good head on your shoulders. Right then, we better get it over with. Obscene snake, jackal, let's go. We'll have plenty of time for fun when we get Tianyu's land. Elder Hu left. Elder Lang was fast behind while Elder Shi sighed at his breakup with Lienner's hand. Though not forgetting to give Lienner a once-over, filled with unmentionable promises, Lienner, I want you as my disciple, hi hi hi. All 3 left the tent. Tuoba Taizhan shuddered in pure anger. Jia Lahan roared, you call those beast-taming sect elders? They're a joke. Lienner sobbed in silence, with Tuoba Lufeng hugging her. Han Tianma sighed, Brother Taizhan, come, you know about conquering cities best. Your experience is needed. The 8 wolf wardens have to come as well. Conquering? How can I ever say that when I am so powerless, as a commander of Chuanrong, to even protect my own daughter? Tuoba Taizhan blustered. Han Tianma sighed, there was no way to know they'd send these childish men when we asked the beast-taming sect for help. Hu Xiongmeng, Lang Canbao, and Shi Yinxia are the worst allies to have. I heard Yinxi even has a coupling skill, robbing countless women of their yin. Brother Taizhan, danger will come now that he has his eyes on your daughter. I advise you to take her someplace else, where he can't find her. Tuoba Taizhan looked at Lienner with worry. Lienner was nervous, watching him lost. Han Tianma, His Highness, the Crown Prince, had asked for Lienner last year. If I agree, Tuoba Taizhan hesitated, that means she won't dare make a move on the Crown Prince's woman. Han Tianma nodded, but His Highness is lustful and reckless. There will be no way out from this. At least Lienor will be safe. When a girl's een will be robbed, her life will go with it. Tuoba Taizhan sighed. Lienor was heartbroken, with big tears streaming down her cheek knowing her impossible fate. Moving on to the elders flying to Windgaze City, they showed unprecedented mockery at the 500 arrays shining on the clouds above. He, is this what has made Tuoba Taizhan so jittery? Humph, a snap from us and it'll be all over. Elder Hu laughed, that old fool must be scared of taking too many losses to send us. Meng Hu, just get on with it already. Elder Lang hurried him on, I'll do it then, since everyone knows arrays beneath 7th grade are pointless, they can't do anything to ethereal stage experts. Breaking these arrays is a cinch. Just as he moved a voice came. Commander Tauba sent you. It's no use with these strange arrays. You can only do it by force. One old man said, taking them for allies. Zhuo Fan's gang heard him as well. They jerked, noticing the 3 elders. They must be really strong to come so close yet for us to not notice them. Grandmother said. Zhuo Fan frowned, the experts are here. Elder Lang snorted at the old men and flicked a blue wind. Zhuo Fan watched as the fogies fell to the ground with empty eyes. Soul destruction, an ethereal stage expert. Zhuo Fan shouted, You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.